What's up, everybody? We are back. We are back in the building, about to have another good one. About to have another good one on this Friday morning. We are joined. You're seeing it right in the title and in the thumbnail. We are joined by Amiri Brown. If you've been paying attention in these YouTube streets, he's been in a lot of controversy. His channel been, his, cha- his channel been I guess a hot topic. I guess a hot topic lately, and I was hearing a lot about it. I caught him on a few other people panels, caught some of the back and forth on his channel, and I said, he gotta come on over here. He gotta come on over here, and he gladly, graciously came. So we're going to be getting into it. We're going to be having a conversation about a number of different things. So let's get ready to go. Let's strap on in. Let's strap on in. Let's get ready to go. As soon as I find the intro. Soon as I find my intro, let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
All right, what's up, everybody? Make sure, again, like I said already, make sure y'all hit the like button, whether you're catching it live or whether you're catching it after it's uploaded. Shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started. Shout out to Free Will Defender, says, yikes, uneducated lame in the building, says, all right, let's live up to our reputation. Let's get it. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. I don't think it's possible I could have Amiri Brown over here without a little bit of controversy. If y'all watch his channel, y'all know what about. Y'all know there's going to be a lot of disagreement, but we gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it properly. But Paul Game in the building, RM in the building. Shout out, LB Crypto in the building. He says another one about to go through the gauntlet. I call it facing the firing squad. Who we got in here? Nova Kane in the building says anti-Manosphere red pill, get in free promo. This dude is not going to change his stance, and I am not interested in changing his stance. You don't get what's going on here, and that's fine. I am in the building. Shout out to you, snazzy individual, G.A. Saladin, El Rahim, Free Zone. I saw Mike from Mike and Vince Perkins, Spiff Spark, conservative in the building. I hope he come up definitely. All right, so we about to go ahead and get into it. Without further ado, going to bring up the special the guest of honor, or it might be guest of dishonor by the end of the show. But welcome aboard.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'd like to get the boring questions out the way first as we wait for people to come in. It's almost 100 people in here. Make sure y'all hit the like button. give me your background. How'd you get into all of this, having these
Okay.
conversations online? What's your background with all this?
Well, of course, I'm, I'm a married family man with 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. Um, I got married at a young age,
Wait, how many
very young.
kids? You said 6 boys, 3 girls?
No, I got 3 boys and 3 girls. I got
Oh,
six
three.
altogether, but
Oh,
let's see,
okay,
you can
got you,
split
got you,
3 and 3.
got you, got
And
you, got you.
I got married at a young age, 19. And when I got married, there was no social media, right? There was no YouTube and none of these what we have now with all this, alpha male shows and stuff like that. So I had to figure things out for myself. It was a lot of trial and error. Um,
So
you know,
far, I can relate. I got married
mm,
at 19. Only difference is
okay.
I escaped. I was divorced.
You said
Every
you, you said you
everything.
escaped the hard labor.
Yeah, everything. I broke out of Shawshank, man.
Right.
But no,
Yeah.
everything you said so far, I can relate to. I felt the
Okay.
same exact way. Married at 19,
Mm,
and was learning things, figuring it out, trying to
right.
figure it out. And yeah, and there was no tools or resources for men about about manhood, about how to handle certain situations
Right.
regarding all of that. So yeah, so I relate so far. But anyway, what
Yeah.
what next? So you go ahead.
Uh, so I didn't come on social media really till 2017. And it was actually my wife who encouraged me to get on social media because she just knows, I've always been a person who's been socially conscious, politically active. In my hometown, I was a member of the civic association there. I worked on school board campaigns, city council campaigns. I even worked on the Obama campaign in 2009.
Okay.
Um, Early on, I was a youth
Was
pastor. I was in the church. Well, go ahead.
No, when you was politically active, with most of that on the more liberal Democrat side of things.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you're dealing with a predominantly black area, it's going to be, it's going to be Democratic.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's that. And then, like I said, early on, I was in the church. I was a youth pastor for some time. And then, things kind of shifted in 2005 because of Hurricane Katrina, and that's when I relocated to Georgia. And then at that time, my main focus was just putting my family, in a better position because I didn't want them to grow up the way I grew up. You know how it is living from
Yeah.
living from pillar to post, not a pot to piss in or wanted to throw it out of. So I got on social media in 2017, and you know, was pretty much just taken aback by the vitriol that I saw and heard being spewed, on social media. And a lot of the times, from my vantage point, I saw it coming from brothers towards sisters. And being new to the social media landscape, at that point I didn't understand how it was very much a twofold situation where sisters were on there doing the same thing. Because honestly, most of my Facebook friends at that time were predominantly male. So then, I just wanted to bring some balance and level headedness to the conversation. So that's when I started, like, at that time it was the Great Liberators podcast radio show. I deal with things from a strictly objective, sociological, intellectual perspective, with a strong focus on a pro-black agenda. Now, I don't claim pro-black, and the reason why, because in our time, it's just like the church has become a caricature of what it's supposed to be. So that's why I don't claim it. But if anybody listens to my content, I think you would be able to discern the pro-black stance with a lot of what I say. And so then, a few months ago, this whole thing went with Taz, and the B1 Cartoon Network over there kind of blew up. So I jumped into the fray because I had to ask to grind with Taz anyway, because Taz is the walking, talking, breathing embodiment of everything black women say that's wrong with black men, yet he still gets support from black women. And so I
You
think,
sound like you're a little jealous about that.
no, I'm not. I'm not jealous. The thing is if we want what we say we want, then we have to be able to provide strong examples and strong alternatives. So
Okay, well, hold
that's
on.
what I'm
Wait
doing.
a minute. So then
Yeah,
why
go
do
ahead.
you then criticize the manosphere when we point out if black women say they want what they say they want,
Mm.
but they go and get pregnant by those type of dudes like that. You criticize the Manosphere for calling that out,
Well,
but now
it's not that I'm.
you're calling it out on one on
Mm,
a on your pro-black pander
mm,
to the women competitors. Damn it!
right.
I didn't mean to get live already.
It's not.
My fault. My
It's
fault.
not pandering. When I have my issues with the manosphere, it's not because I've already said that there's validity to the things that brothers say. The thing that thing that what I try and bring it back to is the systemic and structural factors that cause a lot of that. And listen, if you're from the hood, if brothers are from the hood, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. There aren't many examples of strong black men or a strong black presence in the hood in our communities. So when I'm saying what I'm saying, it's merely to contextualize the choices and decisions that people are making when they're in that type of environment, so we can deal with it from the systemic and structural component, and not merely place it on individuals who are just exercising agency, but not looking at the larger environment that's informing the choices they're making. So those are the distinctions I try and make when I do my content.
All right. All right.
Mm,
Let me back up to a few things you said. I think you were if I understand it right, you were talking about the genesis of women or black men online talking about these issues, and then
mm,
women online talking about these issues. One thing that I think a lot of people miss is that the Black Manosphere, it definitely started out as a counterpunch to what
mm,
was being said, because black men didn't really have any major media platforms to essentially get the shit off to
right.
basically get their perspective out there. So we're still in a counterpunch state, even though a
Mm,
lot of the things we say are leaking over into the mainstream and starting to stir the pot and everything. So
mm,
that's one thing. I don't want to look at it like that. Black women try to describe it all the time as if black men just randomly out of nowhere just
mm,
everything was peaceful and just peachy, and we just came out of nowhere and just kicked down the front door and starting shit. I
mm,
mean, no, it
right.
was it was a lot of narrative being put out there about
Mm,
us when it came to the whole social dynamics between black men and black women, and then yeah, black men started speaking about it.
mm,
One thing that I do want to say is that you said you want to bring balance to the conversation. Now, I hear a lot of people say they want to bring balance to the
right.
conversation. OG, somebody who's a regular on this show, who he makes a lot of arguments more in line with what you're talking about, and he always says he wants to bring balance. But the people who say they want to bring balance to it,
Mm,
it always seems as if they've strongly picking a side. It's not
mm,
like you don't sound like the balanced voice in the middle.
right.
You sound like you're firmly hard and staunch down on one side, riding hard for one side. It's
Mm,
almost like the people that they'll criticize the gender war while simultaneously picking a side in the gender war and fighting
mm,
their ass off in it. So
right.
that so explain that one. So what do you mean by balance?
Well, I mean, just excuse me. When we're having these conversations about, we want to talk about mate choice, we want to talk about single motherhood and things of that nature. I just like to bring in, like I said, the structural components that cause a lot of that. And the fact of the matter is that like you said, some of the manosphere's talking points have been leaking onto the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right now, brothers have pretty much been on the up with a lot of their rhetoric. So now when I'm saying that I'm bringing balance, all I'm saying is that now I'm offering a counter position to the position of the manosphere, and my
Mm-hmm.
position is wholly in defense of black women. Because for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So what I'm doing is in an attempt to balance the entire landscape on social media. So
Okay.
where brothers can
Mm-hmm.
say what they're saying, and then sisters can have an articulate, intellectual, sophisticated, well-read rebuttal to many of the things that brothers are saying. And if that's the case, then hopefully uh, some brothers and some sisters can maybe find some common ground amongst themselves when we're discussing these things, instead of uh, instead of people just becoming more polarized. So that's what I'm attempting to do.
Okay. Shout out to shout out to Dark Knight mentality. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, what you're doing. I don't think it's necessarily a balance. I think it's a counter to the manosphere, and I think that's okay. I don't mind somebody countering things. You touched on something that's a reoccurring theme over here, because
Hmm.
I deal a lot in talking about, personal agency. You
Hmm.
said people are exercising agency, but you talked about the structural or systemic things that
Hmm.
are causing it. So it seems to me that people only bring that into the conversation, or they mostly bring it into the conversation
Hmm.
when it comes to the actions and behaviors of women. When it comes to
Okay.
the actions and behaviors of men, it's like, no, you need to get your ass up and figure it out. Even though I will reach across the aisle and say that
Right.
when it comes to black men being, locked up at a higher rate, then the
Right.
pro blacks and whatnot, they'll talk about the structural reasons and systemic this and systemic that.
Right.
But typically, for the most part, the historical context and everything,
Hmm.
that only comes into the conversation when it's time to call out a a woman who's doing something wrong.
Hmm.
So let's go ahead and get right into that. I'd say
Okay.
we in a free country. We are as free as people have ever been in the world. And when people are doing messed up things within this free country, I think that it's more cultural problems. And there's some people in the space in the Black Manosphere who could disagree with me on that
Hmm.
one. It's like a few diverging sides in the space,
Right.
but but I think most of the problems are cultural, and I
Hmm.
think a lot of that does stem from a lot of choices and decisions that women made that
Hmm.
ultimately started to change aspects of the Black family structure and flipped a lot of things upside down, and
Hmm.
basically they got them in a situation where they're independently raising kids by themselves because according to them they can,
Hmm.
and then we know the outcomes and results of that, and then we see a cycle getting repeated, and
Hmm.
that ultimately becomes the culture, and then now here we are in the post-apocalyptic aftermath of all those decisions that every going all the way back to the 70s. I
Hmm.
don't even like to go deep back into the history with it, but
Right.
either way it go, we are where we are, and I think we have cultural problems that we can, for the most part, look in the mirror and figure out. The people that are trying to, change, get policies and make political actions and movements and get things going. Like, listen, I'm not going to get in their way. I'm not going
Hmm.
to get in their way. I want them to, hey, do your thing. I love what Dr. Tiasan Johnson is doing.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm not even going to get into that. I love what Dr.
Okay.
Tiasan Johnson is doing, but I think that most of the problems that we're having are cultural problems that start at home. And then when I say start at home, I'm really talking about just the breakdown in the overall interaction, engagement, and just all the social dynamics between black men and black women and how that affects the raising of black children. I think it's cultural. Um, you say systemic and structural components are what's causing, I guess, all the ailments or shortcomings in black people. So let's go ahead on
Hmm.
that one. Let's go ahead and lay out that case, and we'll start from there. But before we start from there, hold on, real quick. Shout out to
Okay.
everybody who supports the stream. There, I said it in the building. He says, "Does the good brother acknowledge that B Dub culture normalizes disrespect and dominance towards black men? Also, why did he fall? Okay. Also, why did he fall out with the? Oh shit. Okay." I don't know if you want.
Well, no, let me answer that because
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
with Cynthia, it's a very simple answer to that, and the answer is I don't waste energy on incorrigible women. I'll more readily deal with incorrigible men before I'll deal with an incorrigible women because I expect men to be incorrigible. So if we're having conversations about things that, and then especially at that time, it's supposed to be pro black, and um and it's anytime we start to maybe examine things that sisters have maybe done, decisions that they maybe made, they may be contributing to the problem, and then you don't want to acknowledge that. You just want me to bang on black men. I'm not your pit bull. So that's the answer to that.
Yeah, okay. You're not Cynthia's pit bull, but you okay. One could argue that looking at the women in your chat room,
Mhm.
you just switched owners. You they pit bull now.
Well. Here's the thing, and see when brothers make assertions like that, uh, that's coming from a misandric perspective because the idea that as a black man in the 21st century, I can't think, move, and act on my own behalf of my own free will and volition, I think is does harm to black men who y'all say y'all defend.
Well, I think it matters, what you're saying. You said you don't
Mhm.
deal with unencourageable or encourageable women, or
Yeah,
I forgot how
incorrigible
you,
women.
yeah,
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 I
how
don't
you.
waste time with sisters
All
who are
right. So
incorrigible. All right.
and listen, and your audience is what your audience is, but
Mm-hmm.
would you say that those women who frequent your channel, would you say that they would are you say would you say they're more on the Cynthia G spectrum, or are they more on the spectrum of, hell, the type of women that frequent my channel, the RM, Jackie Jack,
Right.
Brenda, they
Well,
so I mean, when you say you don't
no,
deal with
I
that,
don't think
no,
that.
over I would say
Mm,
over here we don't deal with that. I think
mm.
you right in that cesspool, brother.
Well, maybe so. That remains to be seen. But from what I've seen and interacted with the sisters, I haven't seen um, near the level of incorrigibleness that Cynthia G displayed. So you know,
All right, all right, all right.
yeah.
Weather in the building. He says, I want balance. Also, all right, man, go. Yeah.
What I find funny about brothers and their incessant need to want to date white women is they'll complain about black women exercising power over them. But I just want us to keep in mind when you're with that white woman holds more power in that relationship because than you, brother, because she's white. So
Uh, I don't necessarily agree with that one,
listen,
but
if a white woman calls the police on you, you know those police are coming with much more force than they would if it's a sister.
that
Look at OJ Simpson and that whole
you're talking about the
situation.
guy that got free.
Yeah, no, but
Are
listen
you
what I'm
talking
saying.
about?
No, 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 listen what I'm
Are you
saying,
talking
Bernard.
about all the? You talking about, like, listen?
Mhm.
Nobody weaponizes that police against black men like black women.
Well, that's
Nobody weaponizes they cousins and
mm,
knuck them, the goons on speed dial, to run in there and, like, we listen. I could pull up a countless number of videos of
mm,
one black man ending up dead and the other black man ending up in jail off the word of the word of a black woman. Rather, it's she called up somebody she knew to go ruin
mm,
two people's life, or rather she called the police to go to do it. Either way it go, I don't think you go there. Now, I'm not with the guy who, I mean, he just randomly brought white women into the
right.
conversation. That's some bull. I mean, I just recently had a conversation with one master teacher who's a passport traveling brother, and I support that. I support brothers getting out there doing anything like that.
Yeah, well,
But
I don't have a problem
but
with that either. I'm just
but
saying,
yeah, but he
keep that in mind.
there is a senseless aspect to the whole thing. Like, some people go far. Some people go far
Right.
when it
Okay.
comes to the white woman discussion. We can agree on that one. We
Where the
can we
white
can
woman at?
yeah, we can agree on that one.
Mm,
But all right, Blackfoot in the building says, show us where you took the men's side before the Manosphere came along. I'll start that one, and we'll come back to some of that, because I do want to get into what we was talking about. Shout out to Weather again. Shout out to Mental Agility. He says, balance the conversation, help the B Dub to counter Manosphere talking points, blame systemic racism, unproductive black men, and last but not least, slavery BS. But don't you dare blame my queen. All right, I'm gonna start that one. Okay, we may come back to that, but
I
I
gotta
do. I
say,
hold on. Okay,
okay,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, no,
Well,
I just gotta say, a lot of these brothers sound like they're sucking on sour grapes in the comment section when I see comments like that.
all right, all right. I do want you to lay out your case about the
Mm,
systemic structural components
mm,
that are resulting in, what we're seeing, more or less. I do want you to go ahead and lay out
okay.
your case on that, so we can get that clear,
Mm,
before we get going, before I open it up and the firing squad come up. I
right.
want to get your position as clear as possible. So go ahead and lay out the structural reasons as to
Mm,
why, particularly black women, are engaging in the type of behavior that they're engaging in.
okay. Well, a lot of this stuff that goes on and that brothers complain about and they raise, and like I said, some of the concerns are valid. I won't just dismiss it or try and invalidate the lived experiences of black men. But my point is, when I'm talking about the structural factors, we're talking about economics, number one, and number two, um, we're talking about social space, where we are, how we're situated spatially within the country. We're hyper segregated even today. Excuse me. We're just as segregated today as we were in the 1960s, which is an era that many brothers still um, romanticize. And
Wait, man,
so,
real quick.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt. You're pro-black. Do you think segregation is that much of a major problem?
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's not. I mean, it's not as if I'm just making this up. They study this stuff, and they look at the way that that the space of the country is structured, and predominantly where we are in our communities. And if you go and you look up the gender ratios in predominantly black areas, a lot of times what you'll see, and most times what you'll see, is you'll see a gender ratio imbalance where many sisters will outnumber the men of their community, sometimes 2 to 1, 3 to 1, or 4 to 1. And so when you have
Is
that
those
type,
on like low income housing projects, like areas
well,
like
it's
that?
just predominantly black areas anyway. See, even if we want to start talking about the hood, if so, and this is the hyper segregation component. When you're talking about the hood is one area, and even when you have a black prosperous area, that area will still be adjacent or right next to the the hood, or what we would consider the ghetto. And this is something, there's, BGS likes to talk about Moynihan, but this is something Moynihan outlined himself in his benign neglect memo, how because of the segregation, progressive middle class and working class black people often live right by the hood and the ghetto, and where the Starkeishas and the Pookies and Ray Rays at. And so
Hmm.
they have an influence and an impact on the larger group. And this is done on purpose. They've studied this stuff from a scientific, sociological, psychological perspective. And so this is how they situate our communities to create a lot of the dynamics. When you have a dynamic where sisters outnumber men, then that ramps up the sexuality and the promiscuity of the women.
Well, let me back up on one thing. When you was
Mhm.
talking about how, sometimes the more doing well,
Mhm.
middle class blacks, they're right around the corner in close proximity to the basically
Exactly.
the hood boogers or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
how. And so you're saying that it's overlap. It's so I mean,
Mhm.
so in one hand, it sounds like you're advocating for class separation when it comes to black people, which I support. I do
Mhm.
think the black people that got their head on straight should separate, just like white people that got their head on straight, they separate from Joe Dirt in them. So I
Mhm.
see no problem with that. But I think with black people, again, a lot of it comes back to culture.
Mhm.
We like to, and this is my criticism of pro blacks, most of
Mhm.
what they do is they complain about white people while I guess simultaneously, like you said segregation is a problem. So it's like you want to be more integrated with the people that are the racist
Mhm.
overlords, but that's weird. But but at the same time, a lot of what pro blacks do is they complain about white people and try to spray perfume and cologne over all the shit that's in the black community.
Mhm.
And so when that starts essentially happening, what you have is those black people, whether they're living in close proximity to the hood boogers, as I call them, or not, they tend to put a cape on for the bad actions and behaviors.
Right.
They tend to stay attached to it. They tend to, black people, we have everybody's invited, everybody under the tent. We all one, we all black. I'm black, you black. Our mama's black, and so is everything equal. I think other groups, I think they move more in a class type of way versus
Mhm.
skin color being, the 100% deciding reason or deciding factor in, who's in and who's out.
Right. Well, now there's some truth to what you just laid out, and this is why you couldn't really characterize me as a typical pro-black, especially on social media, because I've been very critical of of I hate to use this terminology, but low class or ghetto wise blacks, or as you call them, um, hood boogers.
I
Listen,
stole that one. That ain't my term.
okay,
I couldn't think of nothing to use at the time. I normally don't say
right.
call people hood
Right.
fuckers.
Yeah, because we don't want to come off as elitist because, even though these people, our brothers and sisters who aren't doing as well as some of us and who live in these environments, it's not to say they don't aspire to reach a certain level. It's just that in that type of environment, you're going to engage in certain behaviors, and as you stated, over time those behaviors become normalized and they become a part of the culture. Association and disassociation are powerful tools for correction. And so I think, and this is one of my gripes with the manosphere. I think for all the you know for all the talk and the complaining about what's going with black women and their behavior and stuff like that, brothers from the manosphere haven't done a good enough job of creating a powerful enough movement for change in their community to where they can use the tools of association and disassociation to correct behavior, particularly behavior from their demographic. Because regardless of anything, the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Tazes of the world still represent our demographic, and we're going to
Hey,
be labeled. we're
let's
going to
keep
we're going to be labeled with their
hold on.
behavior, whether we like it or not. That's the way
Hold
demographics
on,
work.
let's keep some dropping said individual's name. I
Right.
tend not to mention, that it's a whole that whole sector. I was, this was 2 years ago. I was in favor of the manosphere, just completely, just total separation from that sector. So I try not to mention them, and hopefully they oblige and don't mention me, and that's how I like to keep it. So yeah. So let's
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
I
got.
know who you're talking about. I know who you're
Right,
talking
right,
about though.
right,
But
right.
yeah, but but yeah. So when you say the manosphere hasn't done a good job at creating and what did you call it? Some type of
Creating a powerful enough movement for social change in their communities where they can use association and disassociation as tools of correction.
creating a powerful enough movement so they can use association and disassociation as a tool. See, the problem I have with that argument is that you're
Mhm.
basically taking a movement. Well, I do think we've galvanized a lot of men, and people could say, "Oh, we've done nothing, we've had no effect." But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the thoughts, ideas, and perspectives that are talked about in this space, that are in the belly of the beast of this space, of this algorithm, are leaking out and going
Right.
all over the place. So I do think over time that just bare minimum the mindset of a lot of black men will be changed. Shout out to Theo Waff, who was doing a good job, doing a bang up job, teaching an IT class. And a
Mhm.
lot of us use our channels to try to funnel as many brothers into that class as possible. So I think we're at the early stages of changing the structure
Mhm.
as far as that. But far as just an overall, I think one of the overall general goals of the Black Manosphere is just to get the message out, and
Okay.
I think we have done a good job at that. I think we have actually done a good. Oh shit! You got one of them six babies making noise
Mhm.
over there.
Yeah, I got my grandbaby with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no doubt. So I think I think we have done a good job of putting the word out. But as far as political action, we haven't got there yet. And some people say, well, we should have been there. I think things are just getting started. I think
Right.
things are just getting started. I think a lot of people, I just looked at an old video. I was talking to somebody, and he was like, yeah, y'all getting the word out. Y'all gonna do this for the next 10 years. It's like,
Right.
I look at those as like, almost like derailment tactics,
Mhm.
essentially arguments to just try to get black men to shut up. Almost like, I don't like what y'all are saying. Y'all, could y'all just stop saying it? Or
Mhm.
until you do this thing right here, then you can't say these true statements that I can't refute. But
Mhm.
until you do A, B, and C, then you're not allowed to say, X, Y, Z over here. That's kind of how I view that when people try to, talk about what we haven't done. Or shout out to Angry Man, who always say black men are always judged not by what they've done, but by what they haven't done. And
Mhm.
so I think you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same
No,
thing right there.
it's not that at all. I mean, your brothers have. I'm not saying that they haven't not gotten the message out or accomplished some things. What I'm saying is that it's not done from a perspective or a context that's dealing with the entire dynamics that affects the group. Even though, let's be real, much of what the Manosphere talks about and criticizes is the results of group life. Like when you're talking specifically about black women or black female fuckery, you're talking about a group. You're talking about a specific group, your specific group. But then when we start talking about the root causes and the things that's causing the behavior, how do we correct it, stuff like that, then it becomes this thing where now brothers want to be individualistic with it. They want to talk about agency, they want to talk about personal responsibility, but when they're making their criticisms and arguments, they're talking specifically about group dynamics. So then if that's the case, I'm going to say, well, then you're going to have to pick. We're going to have to make it a thing about personal responsibility and individual agency across the board. So that means you no longer have the moral authority or the perspective to criticize an entire group of women, because you're not dealing with the group of women. You're dealing with one individual black woman at a time, as Obsidian would say about Cynthia G when she made her criticisms about black men. I think that goes both ways.
Okay, if somebody is complaining about their personal problems, I think this goes all the way back to when Obsidian, when he was on O'Shea. Well, Cynthia G opened up the Sunday Rumble, and I do remember what he said to her. He said that if you're a black woman, you got all these issues with black men, you don't have to marry the collective. What if black men built as a collective? Her rhetoric. You don't have to build a life with the collective of black men. You only need to find one good black man, marry that black man,
Mhm.
have children with that black man, raise people, because they talk about community a lot. Not necessarily her, but people that talk about community a lot. They be damn near 40 single mothers with one kid. I mean, but at least when you talk about community, you are building a community in your house. We just heard it, so
Mhm.
we can give you that. We can give you
Right.
that. So yeah, so it is about especially if a woman is talking about community. Yeah, she need to get on board with, I guess, the most competent, best
Mhm.
character, willing to commit man that she could possibly find,
Mhm.
and pop out a bunch of babies and build and raise from the ground
Now
up the
let me.
type of people she would
Mhm.
like to see. So I do think he was right when he made that argument. If you narrow and focus in on an individual, that is good individual advice. I don't think you I guess I didn't understand your argument as to why somebody would give up the ability to criticize the group. I mean, I think you can criticize individuals and you can criticize groups, because the actions of said individuals is what does ultimately affect the total group. But at the end of the day, I
Mhm.
say most of it comes back to personal agency and personal choices and what individuals are doing. And I think the driving force behind that quite often is culture, more than social or systemic
Mhm.
structural reasons. But real
Well, let
quick, hold
me.
your thought. Okay, go.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want you to lose what you was going to say, but I did
Okay,
want to look at the
when
super chat.
even when we're dealing with culture, there's two things I want to bring out about that. Number one, environment shapes and forms culture, not behavior. And then the other part is men precipitate culture, not women. So, and if we're going to talk about the culture that permeates, be quiet. If we're going to talk about the hold, hold on, let me hold on.
Go ahead, go ahead. Well, I just respond to what he was saying right there while he do what he got to do with his baby. He said men precipitate culture, not women. I say again, we live in this free country where we got women as free as they ever been. They could do what they want, when they want, how they want to do it, and they got, and all the social criticism and shame has been removed from all of their actions. So they're ultimately operating in full agency to do what they want when they want. If they want to, if they have the ability, the talent, the intelligence to go out there and be successful, they can go out there and do that. If they fail at doing that, then okay, great. They could, they could end up falling, onto the system if they, if they not getting taken care of. If they can't take care of themselves, they can get taken care of by the system, or they can get taken care of by a man. If they can't get taken care of by a man, they can get taken care of by a system. It's impossible for them to fail. So they're in a free situation where they don't have to follow any culture or any structure by men, and by them not having to follow that, they're able to live separate from men, and then ultimately they're raising and putting their um wayward, not even a culture type of
Mhm.
culture onto the kids, and then that's what we see. So,
So is that your basic take of what you say is from your perspective, and I guess from the manosphere's perspective, of if that's what's happening?
well, I don't want to speak for the whole manosphere, but
Oh,
that is a
okay.
general take on what I would say is happening.
But the thing about it is, then and this is what I'm saying. Like I'm going to make brothers choose and pick their poison, because we can't say that that's what sisters are doing, and then turn around and cite studies from the CDC that says black men are the most involved of all fathers. I think, and it's funny that I get labeled as a flip flopper, but when we're saying things, we have to be consistent, and the logic has the track. So if that's what sisters are doing, then how can the CDC report be accurate?
Yeah,
Either
no,
brothers are involved or they're not.
I don't cite that study because
Okay.
I personally I have my issues always with self-reported studies,
Mm,
and I do understand that it's possible for there to be a lot of reckless serial impregnators not taking care of their kids,
mm,
while also the men who are involved still doing a great job. I
mm,
understand that we talk about all the time how the majority of black men don't even have kids, and most of those that do have kids, most of those are married right now. So the percentage of men out there single and out there slinging and slinging community semen and doing all that, it's a smaller percentage of men, but that smaller percentage of men, just by nature and biology, can wreak a lot of havoc and cause a lot of fatherless homes. I mean, we just mentioned I ain't even gonna bring I ain't gonna bring her back up, but we
right.
know how that works. If a woman lines up to become baby mama number 4 or 5 or 6,
Mm,
that's 6 homes without a father, that one man can create. So
mm.
in that situation, that the most involved thing is it could be true, but it also can be not representative
There's
of what's
nuance in it
actually of what's actually happening. But
going on.
that's why. So
Okay.
I have my reasons why I don't necessarily cite that study. I do think black fathers do a better job than their reputation, but I don't personally cite that study. But hold on, real quick, I do got to get to
Okay.
these super chat. Freeman's Journal in the building says Theo Wap helps black men make 6 figures in IT. Added 6 figures to my income based on the first meetup. From what Perch can Amiri from from what Perch can Amiri criticize a goddamn thing. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. I know some other ones, but Golden Eagle 99 says, Amiri, do you believe African Americans benefited from the same systems that you say failed black people, i.e., military, government, jobs, etc.? Also, what system would you have in place to replace what we have now? That is a good question. I do want to get on that because
Okay.
a lot of the men, especially the men who are more on the liberal side, who will hear our criticisms of black women, and they would say, well, that's because y'all don't have no power to put in place. If black men have power to put in place their, policies or whatever, then y'all wouldn't have these criticisms of the women. But the fact of the matter is, if you gave black men the majority of the Senate seats, the majority of governors, majority of whatever in high offices in politics, seeing as the majority of black men are liberal, I tend to believe they would put in place the same shit we got right now. So I
Mm,
don't even think that would matter. I mean, we're going to be in a if you accept that freedom, democracy, and we're not going to enact Sharia law on
mm,
American women. So American women will be free. They will be free Western women.
mm.
Once you accept that premise, and once you support most of the Democratic policies, you can't then gaslight the men and say, well, see, y'all don't got no power. But if black men did have power, this free country would look exactly the same. So
Okay.
I don't. That's why I don't buy that argument. But go ahead, you can respond to that one.
Okay. Well, just two things. Well, real quick, because I hear this whole thing about what's liberal and what's not, and liberal being deployed as a pejorative. But I just want to highlight that that liberals themselves are what we would consider left of center. And
Hmm.
then you have the conservatives, and the conservatives are also left of center, but they're right of left. See, my point is that conservatives are liberals too. And the only difference, the only demarcation between the two is that the neoconservative movement had a problem with the anti-war left and the radical black power movement in the 1960s, and that's what birthed the neoconservative movement. And even Moynihan himself, who was considered a liberal, converted to being a neoconservative. Listen, conservatives do all this talking about spending and bigger government, smaller government. But if you go look at any of the history from presidential politics, it was the conservatives who expanded the size and scope of government and blew up the deficit. George W. Bush inherited a budget surplus and turned it into a deficit by attempting to export democracy uh, in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And at the same time, while he brought the country to war, he cut taxes, and this is what created the deficit. So there's very little daylight between liberals and conservatives. The whole thing is about what is the role of government and what the government is going to spend its money on. Conservatives believe in nation building outside of its borders, exporting democracy as a commodity, and liberals tend to be more aligned with where we're going to spend the money at socially and as it benefits its citizens. So I just want to put that out there. Now to the question, yeah, well, of course, African Americans have benefited from the military, the government, jobs, and things like that. But the problem is that we talk as if these things are static and as if there isn't more that needs to be done to to kind of help black people by and large. If we go and look at any of the statistics as it relates to employment or unemployment, um, in many of our cities, brothers still languish at the bottom of the job market. Like we talk about unemployment, but we don't even address long-term joblessness. When you go into a lot of these areas, you have people who have been unemployed so long that they're not even considered unemployed or chronically unemployed. They're jobless because there are no jobs. That's one of the systemic and structural components that I talk about that the manosphere will ignore, while being very critical
Yeah.
of those same men in those communities and the women who still procreate, cohabitate, and have relationships with those men. There's a structural component to that we just ignore.
Okay.
Mhm.
The Yeah, the unemployment rate among black men, yeah, it could be higher. It is the lowest. When I look at the data and when I
Mhm.
compare it, yeah, it's lower, but it's not astronomically lower when I look at the data. I'll revisit it. Data change, it fluctuates, it goes up and down. If somebody got a link to it, you go ahead and drop that link because I don't got it right in front of me. But yes, there are problems. There are problems with black employment.
Mhm.
I did see some more recent data. I did see some more
Okay.
recent data. I think this was post COVID, where the black male unemployment rate, or the black men in the labor force. See, I don't even want to get into it. I don't like to talk about data if I don't got it right in front of me. But either way
Right.
it go, it's bad. But when I look at it, it wasn't as
As bad
bad
as it
as
has
what.
been. There's been some
Yeah,
slight, but
yeah,
even then, I just want us to be aware when we're looking at the unemployment rate that
but
gets reported from the Congressional Budget Office, like what Donald Trump was citing during his administration. Those numbers come from the Department of Labor, and they ascertain that unemployment number based on the number of people who are drawing unemployment benefits but are still in the labor market looking for work. So that's the number that often gets cited. But the real unemployment number includes those individuals who have been unable to find employment, that they just simply stop looking and they're no longer getting unemployment benefits. And oftentimes, when you factor that group of people in, that group of black men in, double the unemployment rate in many of our communities is double digit. And so this is
Well,
why I'm talking about the black. Well,
no.
go ahead.
It's important to just look at the amount in the labor force. If you look at the total, sometimes when you do look at the data, it may very well say close to 40% of black men are not in the labor force, but with all men, it's something like 30%. And that's staggering. So yeah,
Yeah, that's what. But see
it's
what I'm saying? How it's a larger structural issue with what's going on with America in terms of
okay.
geopolitics and globalization. America is no longer the world's number one manufacturer or exporter of goods or
I know,
services.
but you mentioned we criticize black women for getting knocked up by ancient guys who who meant them no
Right.
well. But for some reason that total 30% of men not in the labor force, it seems as if other women do a better job at avoiding getting pregnant by by their ancient
So you're saying other
nigga
communities
equivalent.
of
they
so what?
they do a better they do a better job
Mhm,
at avoiding getting knocked up by sketchy not the sketchy non-committal people of their community. They do a better job at not getting knocked up, and their numbers are still high on that. Most people in America are poor. Most households, it takes two incomes to get
mhm,
by. It takes two people committed to each other working together. We could talk about those the men who are successful and got options and all of that and can pay for everything. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. All men should be striving to become one of those men. But the fact of the matter is, um, it takes two people in a lot of cases. It takes two people in a lot of cases.
mhm,
So in this world that we live in, I do think if you see a high concentration of women of a particular group, uh, more chronically single, more chronically single mothers, and in a country where there's all the benefits and assistance in the world for women who end up in that situation. I think it's a easy. I think it's an easy 1+1 is 2 situation that one group is consciously benefiting off the system benefiting off the system in a worse way, in a deliberate way, and
mhm.
they're doing it more than other women who will say, the average white man don't make nothing but 50K. Average white man don't make nothing but 50K. But I think that average white woman understands that it's more long term value in me finding, one of these guys. I call him the mustard stain on the t-shirt, plumber's crack showing white guy. It's more beneficial for her in the delayed gratification, long term results of her children to get with that guy, commit with that guy, and make it work with that guy. But the black woman, I think, at a higher percentage rate says,
Mm.
the hell with that guy. I might get a seed, but I want my freedom. I can be
Mhm.
on the system. I can get me a little bullshit job. I can have, probably get some child support. Had the government subsidize the rest, and they're living like that, and they're proud about it, and they brag about it, and they boast about it.
Okay.
So I do again. I say it's cultural things. Whatever forces that are acting on black people, I think they're acting on other people. We're just responding to it differently. The only thing I will give you is that and I think you mentioned recently on the stream with 13% of the population, but we only own like 2% of the wealth. Yes,
Mm.
there needs to be more black businesses. A lot of the people, I don't think it will work for all of them, but there is a lot of them that yes, more employment opportunities will help.
Mhm.
I will freely concede that point, but overall, the way that black people are moving at a cultural level, I just think that is I just think that is plain and obvious that it's a cultural problem. But let me ask you this: we getting closing in on the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
What would you change systemically, structurally? What would you change that would fix the problems that we ultimately complain that we complain about, that we take issue with? What would you change? What systemically would you do differently?
Well, I would have a strong reparations package.
Okay, here
Um, I,
we go.
I you know I just interviewed Dr. Darity on my channel a couple of days ago. So that would be the first step. The second step would be, um, putting black people and black men by and large in political positions, um,
To
so
do
that
what? To do what? Give black women more welfare. That's what they
well
would do.
well number a couple of things on welfare. Number one.
Yeah, yeah.
I just there's data out there, and I just talked about it on my channel where welfare, the social safety net has lifted many black people out of poverty and out of deep poverty. That's number one. Number two, I don't know
You
why
mean
we
many black women?
well.
Many black women.
Well,
Let's
that's
call that.
the data I was looking at didn't actually make a distinction between whether it was black men or black women. They just said black people, so that's why I'm saying that.
Well, but we know it was black women who's on it, and yes, it's true. If they can get on the system and go to school
Mm,
for free and all of that, that's truly how they became the, I'm using air quotes, most educated. were most enrolled because
Mm.
they could stay on the system if they enrolled, and some of them slow crawled their way to a degree, and then they ended up getting a job at working at a air conditioned cubicle somewhere, stapling papers. So
Okay.
so in that sense that they did go from welfare
Y'all do
to
realize that white women
in
get a
the
majority of the welfare dispersed funds,
yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes. Is
Okay.
the manosphere, and we understand.
They get it at
We
a higher rate.
understand.
Well,
Yeah,
hold on, they get it at a higher rate, and they get a larger share of it, meaning they get way more money than black women.
higher rate.
They get it
What
at
do
a
you mean?
higher. They get it at a higher
Are
rate.
you? You're not. You're not
Only
saying.
about 30.
You're not saying that a higher percentage of them are on welfare. Are you?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what the data
That's
says.
well,
Only
that's
about
definitely not
30% of black people get welfare, brother.
that.
Only
Okay,
about
that's
30%.
that's
That's a minority of the entire black population.
that's definitely not true for SNAP benefits and housing. From everything that I looked up,
Mm.
there's a lot of things that fall under the
The Hispanic
umbrella.
community in New York gets a lot of the Section 8, gets a lot of the Section 8 funds.
There's a lot of things that fall under the umbrella of welfare or social assistance that a lot of white people do benefit from, and that that does bump up their numbers. But when you break it down to the big shit, black people do tend to
It might be disproportionate based on our numbers, but the lion's share of it still goes towards the white community. It doesn't come to the black community. I think that's part of the
they're the
problem that we have.
majority. They're the majority, and actually there's a whole white manosphere that talk about the simple fact of how these factors affect how they women move too. Just like black women benefited from, hey, they can stay on the system if they go to school. Yeah, with some white women who did that too. So she was on the system, she didn't have to be attached to a white man. She was free to do whatever the hell she wanted to do. She slow crawled her way to a degree. Now she got a degree. She got a job. She's going in an air conditioned cubicle stapling papers, making enough to get by now. She don't have to be attached to a white man. So
Okay.
yeah, they doing the same thing. It seems as if, and I think that there's data to support it, that our women are doing it more on steroids. I think that's
So
more
why,
or less.
if that is the case, why do you think they're doing that?
Why do I think that they're doing it?
Yeah.
Um, it's a it's a number of things to unpack there, but I think that they I mean, I try not to be just too short with it, but
Mhm.
I think what it comes down to is just simple freedom.
Well,
They like the freedom. They like the
right.
agency.
Mhm.
If the alternative is being attached to a man and living a more structured life
Mhm.
versus having your freedom and agency and being able to do what you want when you want, how you want to do it, and then when you're ready to live a more structured life, when damn near 40, you could do it. It's the ability to do it and operate on their terms. It goes back to the word I use, the word of the day for me, damn near every day, is it's cultural.
Mhm.
That's what I always go back to with that. Real
Okay.
quick, but let's hold the thought on that. Sodomy and Chicken, the best and worst name on YouTube. Sodomy and Chicken says, why is he even in this space? He's here to counter the space, but then does he go on Lipstick Alley, Proud Boys, or Stormfront and tell them what they are doing wrong? He's free to worship the B Dub and save 304s. The community is all yours, guy. He's asked. There's a good question embedded in there because a lot of the black people that talk a lot and complain a lot about white supremacy, I think it is a fair
Mhm.
question embedded in there. Why don't y'all go to the y'all don't ever take these issues to other white people?
Well,
Y'all just talk at black people
mhm.
about what white people are doing instead of
Mhm.
there's white people that'll listen to you. Why
Well,
not?
well,
Why y'all don't go to them?
actually, let me address that because actually, just the other day, I was in a room on Clubhouse, white with a bunch of white people in there. It was titled "Why Is White Being a Privilege?" and I was in there giving them that intellectual work. And needless to say, by the time I got done, they didn't want me to speak anymore, and they turned the replay off. So there's that. So I have no problem
Okay.
giving white people the business in terms of what I'm talking about here.
All right, no, cool. If you, I mean, he threw that. I've heard a lot of people throw that question out there. So if you've done that, if you, then hey, I'm
Yeah.
not
Matter of
gonna.
fact, I even have a debate on my channel where I debated a white person about was exactly what you're talking about, about the social safety net and the need for reparations and things of that nature. So
Hmm.
I will engage white people.
What do you think reparations should include? Is you want it to be like that Dave Chappelle skit? They just just give us all $1 million
Tron is
and
living for the city.
you you just want them to just write us all a check for for a nice clean $1 million and call it even? Or
well,
what do you think it should be?
Well, it's roughly about 14 trillion, and what that averages out to is about 350,000 per individual per black family, and that would just be the starting point of how we repair the damage that's been done. The cash payments would be the first step. The next step would be breaking down the continued structural aspects that segregate us spatially and put us in situations where we have the types of dynamics what you're talking about that affect black male and female relationships in black life. Listen, uh, we know what it is when we look at uh, violence in the black community and how, unfortunately, black male on black male violence is astronomically high. In fact, it's too high. But I don't buy into the notion that this is somehow endemic to blackness or to black men. It's those are structural factors that's causing a lot of that. And so that's why we would have to begin to deal with the structure of everything and how we're spaced out and where we are in the country, the spatial hypersegregation that we suffer from. It's astronomical. The hypersegregation that black people suffer from is higher than any other sub or ethnic group in this country. That's not a coincidence.
I always cringe when I hear pro blacks complain about segregation. Y'all supposed to be the pro segregation people in my eyes.
Well, see, that's
Uh,
the thing. That's why I said you can't really consider me a
yeah.
pro-black.
Okay.
I'm not really with the black separatist thing because
Yeah.
I think that's a non-starter. We need more integration and further inroads into the larger society and its institutions and apparatuses. I think to some
I
things that
agree.
brothers do talk about, for the most part, black men have been segregated from um, the Democratic Party and the Liberal Coalition and have basically just been left on an island by themselves. And to a large extent, they have used gender as a wedge issue, and that's just something that they do in the society, just as a whole. So I'm not with the whole separating from the society or segregating ourselves from the society because it's going to create the types of problems that we have now to where we have this divergence between black men and black women. So it's supposed to be about inclusiveness, so everybody can have the representation within the structures and institutions that govern the society. That's what we need to be fighting for, and I think the manosphere has an opportunity to probably make that case better than anybody, but yet they want to talk about Starkeisha in the community and not really deal with that aspect of it that's
Mm,
causing a lot of the issues they're having with their women, as you've been saying all day.
yeah. See that what you just described right there. I kind of call that.
Mhm,
You kind of did what I call the just shut up argument. Like this
mhm,
space. A lot of people could debate what this space was is here for, but the way that I always looked at it is that it was black men just raising their voice, speaking their mind.
mhm,
Talking about essentially, you take away. Some people will word it different, but I just typically say the varying social dynamics between black men or black the varying social dynamics between black men and black women. That's essentially what we're talking about here. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you're talking about that, but you're not talking about this. You need to talk about, changing this governmental structure thing over here and not
mhm,
worry about the women. You change that, then the women will blah blah blah. It's like to me that just comes off as a derailment tactic. But if somebody there is a fair point there. If somebody thinks everything is structural and systematic, then yes, I do agree with this argument. If everything, I mean everything that's
mhm,
going wrong with black people, with black men and black women, if somebody do believe that it's all systemic, it's all structural, then yeah, they probably shouldn't have as much to say about the women. They need to go change the structure. They need to go change the system and then
Mm-hmm.
come back and worry about the women. I do agree with that, but my position is that most of these problems are cultural. In the system and the structure, it will always get tweaked and changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say a culture typically changes before laws change. The United States just didn't kick down the door and pass Civil Rights Act legislation. The culture changed on the ground. It
Mm-hmm.
changed at the grassroots, and when the people changed, the government followed suit. That's how I always look at social movements. You got to change the hearts and
So
minds
is
of
so
the
let me ask
of
you
the
this:
people.
is the manosphere? Would you characterize as a social movement? What is it?
I think you almost have to categorize it as a social movement, but not necessarily a political
But I
movement.
think that's the
But
problem.
I
I think
think
the
it
problem emanates from if because even if we're talking about culture, culture isn't just relegated. I mean, relegated to black life. There can be a political culture that reinforces the things that brothers are complaining about. So, and that's what I'm saying. If that's the argument that brothers are going to make, then I think they can only stand to benefit from being invested politically and occupying political positions and political seats.
Yeah, and I think that's coming. I think that's coming,
Okay.
but I think we're at the early stages of just changing the hearts and minds of black men. Because, and
Okay.
I'll throw out that word liberal. And shout out to BGS. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole video, but he did a breakdown of uh, liberalism and conservatism. And I think you sort of touched on that. How we we could be using the word. I mean, I don't even want to get into the history of
Right.
because
We don't have to get that
basically
deep.
the modern conservative is just a classical liberal, and
Mhm.
but I just and thus to right now I just go basic liberal conservative, but
Right.
but either way it go, and I got derailed off what I was trying to say when. I'll just back up to here. I'll back up to something else that I wanted to say because I lost my point when I mentioned BGS. But
Okay.
the fact of the matter is this: when you talk, okay, I got it now. When you're talking about it being a political movement, like I was saying, I think it does need to move there. But
Mhm.
if the majority of black men are operating and thinking in a way that basically lines up with more or less exactly how black women think, that's why I asked you, what essentially would you do,
Mhm.
differently? What systems, what policies would you change? And you did say something about reparations, but a lot of them, when people talk about that, they basically just talk about give black people more shit. And I
Mhm.
think that a lot of things that need to get fixed is some things that we need to fix for ourselves. Like you talk about, you know, reparations. When you do the math, we are all owed $350,000. I'm sitting
Mhm.
here thinking to myself, okay, you buy a house, for $200,000. You work a job and you retire, and then
Mhm.
even if you 401k or pension or whatever, that you can get damn near get a payout of over $350,000. Then life insurance that could be a payout of upwards of $500,000. I mean, you're talking about
Mhm.
reparations got to come in and give each individual $350,000. I just said some basic shit that damn near every black person can do, you know, to ultimately hand down that same generational wealth just like that. Like I literally know a black person that did it. They retired.
Mhm.
Put it like this: it was a husband and wife. They both retired at the same time. Both of their retirement, they pulled out something like 400,000 each. They they had a house that I forget. They the husband died. The husband died, so it was close to $1 million insurance policy. So they
Mhm.
both retired and got like $400,000 each. So she got that money. The husband died and it was something like $1 million damn near insurance policy. And I think through a property that they owned, I don't know if she sold it or I don't
Mhm.
know what happened. But long story short, she retired with $2 million. Long story short, I forgot all the details.
That was
But
okay.
what I'm saying is there the system is set up where if we play the game the right way, we can roll up our sleeves and win. So that's why I don't fall back I don't fall back as much on the system, preventing us from women from winning. I think we have
Right.
cultural problems why we're not winning. But I do want to get into I do want to get into these super chats. I'm going to open this up real soon. Yeah, give me a second. Sir Tyson in the building. He said, "No, sir. Liberals are not about where to spend the money socially. See climate change, green slash green for reference. You're acting as if conservative and liberals of 1965 through 72 are the same now, 50 plus years later." Thank you for that super chat, Sir Tice. Also, thank you again. Sodomy and Chicken says BGS already destroyed this guy. The cultural established back. The culture was established back in slavery, and politics isn't going to solve it. Time to solve it as each generation assimilates more, and the subculture dies out. The Amiri Brown is a somewhat pro assimilation to some degree. Yeah, I don't know if he disagree
Yeah,
with you as.
that Sodomy and Chicken is talking dribble, and I don't take people whose name is Sodomy and Chicken is serious. So there's that.
Yeah, Theo F in the building. He says you have to remove liberalism from the community first before any progress is possible. Thank you for that super chat, Theo F. Do appreciate that. My man Christian Hutchinson in the building. He says, "How do you assign who gets the money?" Oh boy, see there we go. Yeah, that's why I don't even do the reparations conversation. He said, "How do you assign who gets the money of reparations? Do I get reparations? What about Laura London or Holly Berry? Mixed people? What about Sasha and Malia Obama? African / white father, Ado's mother. I mean Ado's. Okay, Ado's mother. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So it's a
Yeah,
it's a logistical it's a
well, that's
logistical nightmare. There's no way
well,
around that.
well, it's not that complicated. I mean, the bottom line is if you have one parent whose lineage is FBA or ADOS, then you would be eligible for reparations. It's just that simple.
If you got one parent who's
One
FDA
parent,
or
yeah, you
ADOS,
could either have one parent
what?
who's
Okay, what if that one parent is half? Is just half FBA or ADOS?
if that parent has it's going to go back to the same thing. If that parent who has a ADOS father or mother, they're eligible for reparations. It's simple. It's very
Okay, so
it's very it's
based
very
off
simple.
what you just said,
Mm,
a literal, a person who's half black and
mm,
half, the person who's half black and half
mm,
white, okay,
mm,
can have and that person counts as, somebody who's FBA or ADOS,
mm,
okay? So if you say somebody who has a parent who's FBA or ADOS, that means that person's kid would qualify. But if that kid was made with another white person, that's somebody who's 75% white,
mm,
showing up to standing in line with with damn near white skin and straight
mm.
hair and green
Now let me
eyes, getting
right
that reparations check.
now let me ask you a question because what's the percentage? What's the percentage of the overall black population or ADOS population that you think meets that criteria? You're probably talking about less than maybe 5 to 1% of the entire ADOS or FBA population. So we're using a very small, minute substrata to try and delegitimize what the entire vast majority of the
All right.
group deserves and is
Yeah.
entitled to from the federal government. Look, the federal
Basically,
government knows. Listen, they know they owe. When we're talking about reparations, we're not talking about something new, a new idea. Reparations was what they were doing, and it was interrupted by Jim Crow. And for some reason, everybody just wants to act like we should just forget that. And I find it funny when people who talk about personal responsibility will then make these arguments for the government not being personally responsible and paying the money that it owes. Pay your bills. Paying your bills is a part of personal responsibility.
I mean, listen,
Can't
I
lecture us
said,
on personal
I,
responsibility when you don't want to pay your bills.
I've said this before that I have my reasons of my
I
disagreements
got you.
about reparations, but at the end
Mm.
of the day, if the people fighting for reparations, listen, rather I think it can be done, rather I think it should be done, I'm not going to get in your way. So
That's fair enough. That's all I would ask.
yeah, because I mean the fact of the matter is they send me a check, I'm cashing it. So
Exactly.
so that's
Exactly.
why I don't get in your way. I, I let y'all do
Exactly.
I let y'all
Like
do your
imagine
thing.
what you could do with your show, Bernard. Right? If you just had a $350,000 windfall, you could rival Rush
Yeah,
Limbaugh. So
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Let us do what
yeah.
we're
So
doing. Like,
yeah,
don't try and
I
make an argument against us. Let them make the argument.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Ethereum who came through. He dropped a $51 cash app on me. I do appreciate that. Shout out to Theo Waff in the building. Says working together with like-minded black men. I helped around 25 men increase their net income by over 3 million. No taxes, no. Oh, no government. I thought that said gay. Ooh, I need glasses. Okay. No taxes, no government, no using other people's money. What do you have in lib land? Divorce, words, welfare, and deleting black male babies. Shout
Can
out
I
to Theo.
respond?
Let that one ride. Let it ride.
I was just gonna say, kudos to you, brother, but I'm not impressed. Next topic.
Whoa. How could you not be impressed by that? Come on, man.
I've
I
I've
know
I've,
he took
I've,
I know he
I've
took
I've
shots.
seen I've seen
Take the
better.
shots off. Take the shots off. It don't matter. As long as okay, you look, people who come out of this space
Mhm.
doing something, and you try to say we ain't doing nothing but talking shit about women. But when somebody in this space is doing something, to
Well,
give
I
him
mean,
a
in Libland we have black men like Tyler Perry. We have black men like Bob Johnson who supported the Clintons. We have a bunch of black men who are way more um, uh, effective in terms of economics and business that get things done, and we would take ownership of them in Libland because, for all intents and purposes, they're liberal. Tyler Perry has built an entire studio in East Point, Atlanta, and Tyler Perry is the prototypical black male liberal that I think many brothers in the manosphere would take some issue with, especially with how he portrays black men. So I'll see you, Theo Waff, and I'll raise you, Tyler Perry.
all right, I'm gonna let that let that ride. Kadash says so. According to his logic, Prince Jr., Paris, and um, Blanet
Blanket.
Blanket,
Yeah,
that
so talking about
Blanket
blanket. Yeah, that's what he
Jackson.
did, Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
Michael Jackson kids. Blanket
Yeah,
Jackson can get reparations because Michael Jackson was their legal father. Them ain't his biological kids. But anyway,
yeah.
all
Let
right.
me guess from his name, he think the Messiah coming back to save him. Gotcha.
All right. Shout out to Sir Tice. He says he didn't say Tyler Perry. He said you, Amiri.
No, he
Uh,
said, what do we have over there in Libland? And what
yeah,
we
he
have in
yeah.
Libland is Tyler Perry. Next
Yeah,
topic.
seeing as a majority of black people are liberal, you can win an argument that way because you could just you could just start naming random rich black people. They
Exactly.
probably
He
vote
kind of opened
Democrat.
himself up for that.
So
That's why I
so
did.
yeah. Freeman's Journal of the Building. He says again from what per okay, I'd already read that one. All right. Let me see. All right, I think we got enough on the table, man. I think I'm about to open it up. I think it's time for you to do what I call face the firing squad. I think
Okay.
we had a respectful conversation. I don't know how
Yeah.
long that's
Yeah.
gonna last, but let's let's go ahead and put that link in the chat. The link is in the chat for you brothers to come on up. Shannon Rawls in the building. He says Tyler has not created wealth for others, bro. He hired some people to run his business, but he hasn't made broke people rich. I do think it's a difference. I do think it's a difference. Okay, this is how I look at black economics and black people building the community and all of that. Basically, people who are ultimately successful, capitalist. It's funny like this. This is how black people tend to look at black people doing better as is everybody coming up and being on equal parity. No,
Mhm.
it's going to be basically the rich getting richer and everybody else getting a job. It's going to look a lot like how it looks with white people, where we're just in this country in general, like 10% of the people own 90% of the wealth. The top 1%
Yeah.
own 50% of the wealth. That's how it's going to look for black people, where it's going to be the top 1% of us probably owning 50 to 60% of the wealth, and everybody else
Mhm.
just getting a job. Instead of the average black man making $40,000 a year, he'll
Mhm.
probably make 45,000. Maybe round it right up to where white men make an even $50,000 a year, and that unemployment rate, will change a little bit, or the what am I trying to say? The labor force participation rate will
Mhm.
get a little higher. Like it will essentially be small changes, because building the community basically essentially means it doesn't mean bringing everybody up to the same level. It's basically business minded black people not investing in the community as in some charity, But no, they basically if you see a lot of factories owned by black people and the assembly lines are being manned by black people, mostly black men, those brothers, they just get a job making $25 an hour, but somebody high up, a black person high up, will be getting rich off of that. That's why I always say it was that 99% movement where the average, the average white person or the non 1% white people was like, hey, we're not getting a big enough piece of this all this wealth in this country. So that's where the whole Occupy Wall Street movement came from. Where
Right.
so basically, if black people got to the point to where they owned 99, I mean, if they own 13% of the wealth in this country, because that's generally our population percentage. If black people got to the point where we own 13% of the wealth in this country, the regular normal black people will be having an Occupy Black Wall Street movement where they mad because they not getting the benefit and leech off of the rich high society master of the universe black people. But they don't realize, though, the only thing they get is a job and maybe some insurance benefits and maybe a nice retirement plan. And so that's what people got to get with it. We have this socialist mentality as if we're going to somehow make every black person 100% evil, and I mean not evil. That's where we're at now. I'm not just playing. 100% equal, and that's just not how it works in a capitalist country. Unless we build a socialist Wakanda on an island somewhere,
Right.
it's gonna look more or less how I described. But before we go to the panel, we got Nick Penn in the building. He says, I will co-sign for what Theo Waff is doing. He is volunteering his time multiple days a week, helping black men learn to code. Respect the man. Absolutely. Yeah, you did take a shot at Theo. Theo is somebody rolling up his sleeves doing the work. So yeah, we do gotta put some respect on Theo's name. He is doing the work. He is changing the lives of black men, and I'll use my channel to promote what he's doing forever and ever. Amen. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to the panel. We got Complex Design in the building. Welcome to the show. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, Bernard, what's going on, man? Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're aware. Yeah. So, Amiri, first thing, dude, you never took my offer up to come onto the Brain Trust to have a conversation. I find that funny. And earlier you said some shit about like, black men not building infrastructure and some stupid shit. Bernard, if you'd like, I could drop a link to a video. Literally, I uploaded it yesterday where I had a meeting with the city councilman. Right, with regards to the micromobility project that we're rolling out, because we got a city contract, right? That's infrastructure for your ass, Amiri. Now, outside of babysitting, I'm curious to know, what are you doing on the infrastructure side of things?
Well, I employ black men with my real estate company.
Sure.
Okay. And that's solid.
I don't believe you.
And well, I'm
not, no, I'm saying, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like the shit that he does on social media, what he does is, instead of down talking black men, what he doesn't do is actually make content on this. That's why I don't believe him. I make content on the shit I do, bro. So we do over on the Brain Trust. Shout out to Theo Waff. Shout out to cats who basically do the shit that they talk about. That's how I know you're not full of shit. You didn't even pull up on the Brain Trust when I asked you to pull up.
I'm not trying to convince you when I'm not.
No. You're not. No. You can't convince me of shit because I already know you don't do nothing. What I'm saying is that you're here talking about what brothers in the Manosphere don't do, and I'm calling that bullshit out.
You're not my target audience.
Oh, listen to this guy. Whoa, Bernard,
you're not my target audience.
Hold on, wait, Complex. Amiri. Who
doesn't matter to me. Go ahead, Bernard.
Who is your target audience?
Like-minded black men and women who want to do something for the community besides criticize it and talk down to them.
Okay,
and that's all. And from what I
see, that's all the fuck you do.
And from what I see,
I got it.
From what I see, that's all the Manosphere does. Let's not conflate black men with the black Manosphere. The black Manosphere does not speak for a majority of black men. As Bernard been saying, the majority of black men are liberal, so they think like me. You brothers do
Okay.
not speak for the entire collective of black men. Let's stop it.
No,
Knock it
nobody said they did. But
But
Amiri,
that's how he's
you
coming
can't.
up.
Hold on,
Okay.
Amiri. You can't criticize the action of men criticizing and talking about everything that's going on between black men and black women when you're the opposite side of that. You can't criticize it. It's like, go back to what I said. People will criticize the gender war, but they picked up a side, raised the flag, and charged into the battle. You've
Ain't that about a bitch? Ain't that about a bitch?
Yeah, so you can't criticize that action. Now you can attempt to refute an argument, but once you get in the ring, you've accepted the terms and
Wait.
conditions of that
Wait,
game.
Bernard. Meanwhile, go ahead.
My content isn't based in gender. It's based on the structural
No,
factors
your
that. Wait, hold
con-
on.
your-
It's based on the structural factors that affects black life and the misappropriation of data and statistics.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Manosphere
Hold on,
uses, like
Councilor,
BGS running around quoting the Moynihan report when it's been long debunked. The
Okay, so
Moynihan
you're-
Scissors debunks the Moynihan report, yet he'll continue to talk about the Moynihan report. The reason why Moynihan and his
Wait, hold on.
and his- and the reason- hold on, real
Let's
fast,
not get
Bernard, real fast.
going down
then
a
I'll be
rabbit hole with
quiet.
Moynihan.
Yeah, I know. Just
Here we go.
The reason why Moynihan and his compatriots were confounded by Moynihan Scissors because
I didn't even bring up Moynihan,
I'm
man.
not
That's the
talking
funny
about
part.
I'm not talking about you.
But
The
you
reason
going
why-
down a
the
rabbit
reason
hole,
why
bro. We weren't even on
Moynihan
this shit.
Hold
and
on,
were
hold on,
confounded
complex,
by
chill,
Moynihan
chill.
Scissors
I got it.
is because the scissors conflicted with his diagnosis and prognosis of what was the problem with black people. That's why he was confounded by the scissors.
Oh, I'm gonna bring those scissors back up because my understanding it conflicted because he thought that, like everybody else, when the male employment go up, the female welfare rate would go down, but it went the other way with black people. So that's what he means. That's how it conflicted. But hold on. Wait a minute.
Because BJ's gonna get this.
All right, I'll and I'll watch
Wait,
the video.
Bernard,
Hold on,
don't go for the okie doke, man.
No, I'm not going. I'm trying to bring it back. I'm
not on this panel with y'all. Y'all on this panel with me. Go ahead, Bernard.
Please, everybody chill. Amiri, you can't say that your channel is about whatever wonderful stuff you said your channel is about, but when we scratch beneath the surface, or not even scratch beneath the surface, look right at the damn surface and scratch beneath it, your channel is about countering the manosphere. So you can't say, oh, okay, you guys are just talking about a bunch of bullshit, but your bullshit is about just responding to our bullshit. So don't make it seem like your channel is about building a better community.
Thank you.
And all you're
Thank
doing
you.
is responding to all you're doing is just reacting to other YouTubers. You're just a YouTuber reacting to YouTubers.
Thank you.
So
You can't prove shit that you saying about any kind of infrastructure. You're not the model for the shit you talk, bro.
Sodomy and Chicken in the building. He says, "How's okay? Whoa! Oh, my hey, Amiri, I apologize. I click on super chats and don't even read them. He got no business asking you about your daughter's husband and all of that shit. My bad. That wasn't supposed to be up there. I click on super chats and then I don't read them. I don't know nothing about your daughter and her husband and don't care. So my bad on even having that highlighted. Hood Servative, we're gonna pass it to Hood Servative. Go ahead. I know the two of you have had a run in or two or three or four. So go ahead, Hood Servative. You got it.
Damn. I feel like you closed the gate I was about to walk through.
Oh no! How did I close the gate? No,
babysitting. Well, the babysitting thing, and it's not even to pick on your daughter personally, but just going by the numbers, most black women having children in this day and age are not married. So it leaves questions for the audience. That's really what it does. It just we can only speculate.
Wait, what did you say?
At this point, most black women who have children are not married. So when you say you're babysitting, it raises questions for us. So, without me like being an asshole about it, I'm like, bro, there are questions you're presenting and you don't want people, I don't know, you didn't say anything, Bernard kind of closed the gate and I'll leave it there. But these are questions that you present when you kind of come up and you got your grandbaby up there. It's like, so what's that situation like? Dudes are going to wonder now because, is it a thing of, are you caping for your own kids?
My daughter's married. Not that
okay, that's the question. That's the question.
Not that it's any of you brothers' business.
No, good, fine. And we can leave it at that.
Especially coming from you, Hood Servative, when you have 3 children from women that you didn't marry, brother. So
No,
see,
from one woman who didn't
because
want to
what it
get
is,
married.
I
No,
try
no,
not to
from
use,
one woman
I
who
try
didn't
not
want
to
to be
use my
married
I
though.
try not to
Hold
use
on,
my
hold on.
personal
Let's wait.
life and weaponize it against brothers. Like I
All
said,
right,
I
now
got
No,
you
no,
hold on,
no,
wait.
it's
You hold on, wait.
fine, but
Go
it's
ahead.
it's
personal
okay to stand
parameters
Hold
on
of
on,
your
wait a
own
minute, wait a
life.
minute, wait a minute, wait a
parameters of
minute,
what.
wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry to mute. When you said your personal shit was brought out and everybody heard your clear cut answer, your daughter is married, you're babysitting for your married daughter, you're being a granddad right now. That's wonderful, great. Okay, but you did throw out there that Hood Conservative had 3 kids by some women that he didn't want to get married, that he didn't want to marry. Hood Conservative, go ahead and respond to that.
It's one woman who she didn't want to be married. That is the absolute hands down truth. Wasted the ring and everything. So that's the
Damn.
fact of the matter.
Oh,
Right,
damn, you
bro.
got down
That is
on
the fact of the matter.
wait, Hood
Bro,
Conservative.
listen,
Sorry, I
listen,
don't
listen.
hold on, wait. I
My
don't mean to
my
clown you.
anger
Hold
is
on,
justified.
Hood. So you telling me you one of those dudes like we seen those videos? You got down on one knee and she just left you down there like that happened?
Oh no, she took the ring and then later on bad things happened.
Okay, she didn't leave you down there on your knee. Okay, good. You at least you got some dignity in that situation.
Dignity, I want
I'm
my ring money back. Fuck dignity. I want my ring money back. Nah, but I'm joking. But no, but that's the reality since we wanted to have that honest moment. Like that's really the situation here. And the thing of it is when you said you had your grandbaby, the questions come up because the reality is now you're not actually defending your daughter's way of life. Your kid, you raised your kids to do a certain type of thing, to be a certain way. And God damn it, it works because now they're carrying the lifestyle on, right? A married daughter, I would call that a success. I would call that a win. And you're not defending her lifestyle.
I think to put wait a minute. I think to
Okay, go
put
ahead.
what Hood Conservative is saying in a better question, in the form of a good question that you can answer. Why didn't all of that systemic and structural things that affect and that's the ailment of so many black people? I wonder, like, what happened that made that not affect your daughter, who grew up and did it the right way, raised by a dad who did it
I won't even think it. I
essentially
wouldn't
It's
even.
the
deeper,
right way.
Bernard. You got about 3 generations,
Listen,
Amiri. You're from a married couple. You're a married couple, and your daughter. You're raising kids to be a married couple.
no,
How are your
no,
generations holding up through all this systemic racism that you say
no.
is holding everyone back? You got 3
Okay, so
generations, bro.
let me ask you a question. What's the marriage rate in the black community today?
It's like 30 something.
Okay, so we're talking, even when you're talking about me and you're talking about my daughter, we're talking about a minority of the black population. The overwhelming majority
Okay.
of the black population isn't coming from that family structure. So at this point, it just is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not
Well,
trying
no,
to.
the
I don't try.
question, the
Well, hold on.
question,
I don't try
Amiri.
and put my personal
Excuse
life
me.
off
No.
on other people. That's why I talk about it from the
So
systemic.
wait, you say it is what it is, and then you turn around and proceed to dump it all on black men? Get the fuck out of here.
How did I dump
Bernard.
it all on? Oh, wait, no, hold on, Chaos. How did I dump it all on black men? Y'all trying to dump it all on black women?
No. Y'all ain't doing nothing.
Yeah,
Though. Who
it's
you
good.
talking to? Who you talking to? I already
I'm
hit you up on who's doing the infrastructure and who's doing the bitching. You're doing the bitching. I'm doing the building, nigga.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Complex Design.
What?
And now let me ask you: that city council you're dealing with, are they conservatives or liberals? Are they Republicans or Democrats?
Well, I'm
Go
a
ahead.
technocrat. It's irrelevant to me.
Go ahead. They're Democrats. Stop it. Knock it off. You're not
Wait.
talking to a fool.
Wait. But I'm not. So what's the point?
You're not talking to a fool, bro.
All right.
No. And but you are talking to a dude who actually met with them.
Democrat? Are they Republican or Democrat? Are they
Doesn't matter.
conservative or liberal? It does.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't.
All right.
Yes, it does.
No,
Okay.
wait, hold on, Bernard. Let me clear this up real quick. When you're a business dealing with the city government, you deal with who you have to deal with, regardless.
Yeah,
that's where black men get it fucked up. No, hold on. That's where black men get it fucked up. What black men need to understand is how to be politically agnostic for the sake of business. For the sake of business, you have to be politically agnostic.
If that was a conservative city council, you wouldn't.
I'm getting this shit regardless, dude. I launch in multiple cities, and the governments are comprised of various stripes. Does not matter.
You're getting it because of Democrats. Cut it off.
Yeah, whatever, dude. No, you don't even know that. You don't even know that.
What did,
Bernard.
Provide the receipt.
All right. Hold on,
the city council you're
real
dealing with.
quick.
It's a very simple way to
Can we
squash
get
this.
back to
There's a very
the
simple,
thing I
there's a
wanted
very
to?
simple way to squash this contention right now.
Right, and this is coming from a guy with no experience in it.
Listen. Let me
I
try
have
to circle
experience
it.
with politics,
Let me
especially local
try to
politics.
circle it.
They're
Let me try to
Democrats and
hold
what
on.
we
Let me try
consider
to
liberals.
okay, Amiri. Let me try to circle it
Go
back
ahead.
here.
Go ahead, Bernard.
All right, I think we were on the brink of something good here when I talk about the cultural issues with black people, and everything, and I always remember to bring up the simple fact that yes, being born black in this country to a nuclear family or a marriage or whatever, your outcomes are on average better than being born white in this country to a single mother. I think there's a contradiction to some degree when you're somebody who culturally from a culture, from the culture of your home, of your household, and how you raise your kids, you did one thing and you were effective at it. Instead of advocating more for that type of cultural change that would resemble what you've done with your life and what you've raised your daughter to do with her life, I think you just put on a cape for the fuck shit that people are doing, and so it's like you're doing it's, I hate to even go there, but it sounds like the typical race hustler thing.
That's exactly what the fuck it is.
We're underprivileged, we're disenfranchised, we're this, we're that. But the person
The
who's talking
politician
all
you're dealing with was
hold on,
Democrat.
hold on,
Blah blah
hold
blah
on,
blah blah.
hold on. But the person who's talking about all this disenfranchised, we're oppressed, we're this, we're that. That's somebody who was born in this country, rolled up their sleeves, and figured out a way to make it in this country. They're successful living in a white gated community talking about oppression. And it's like it comes off as ridiculous, it comes off as pandering, it comes off as just basically race hustling at that point.
Okay, well, let me address something real fast. Like, to be honest, I didn't want my daughter to get married. I felt like they were too young. So so there's that. But
Right.
but I
Yeah.
relented.
I
But
knew
She
it.
but
needed to
Let's
explore
get
her
but
options.
but
go
She needed
Stronghold
the
Royal Oaks,
Mary.
right?
but I
Mary.
relented. Well,
She
listen. It
Mary.
sounds like hood
She
conservative. It sounds
needed.
like you're
She
it's not.
need she needed to get her whole phase out the way.
Well, no, I mean, listen. I'm somebody who got married at 19, and it's tough. Like at 19, when you're that age, your brain doesn't become fully developed till you're 25. Listen, if brothers have a problem
You
with
know what's
sisters
tougher
being,
at
well, no,
19?
hold on, hood
Being a
conservative. I'm
thought,
talking.
bro.
I'm
Being a
talking.
thought is way tougher than being a wife.
I'm
All
talking.
right,
I'm
let him
talking.
go. Let him go, Hood.
I think if brothers have such a problem with sisters and their sexual practices, then stop having sex with them. It takes two to have sex. You're having sex with these women. You're having sex with them. So don't get
I don't
mad
got a
because these,
problem.
don't get mad
I don't
because these sisters out here throwing a box around, and y'all out here throwing y'all dingaling around.
When did that
That's what I'm
become the
saying.
charge,
Don't
though?
blame it
that
on
wasn't
sisters, and
I
you do
wasn't
Who
y'all
brought
doing the
that up
same
in
thing
this
y'all said
panel?
I'm
hold
doing.
on.
Amiri,
Y'all
who
blaming
brought that
sisters
up?
for
Who
being
brought that up?
promiscuous, and y'all just as promiscuous. So you're doing the
Who
same
brought
thing.
that
So
up
how you
in
gonna
this
talk about these
panel?
women? You
I
did.
Are you
wasn't
arguing with people who
I
not here,
wasn't
bro?
talking about sexual
You did, hood
promiscuity.
conservative.
Bernard,
You mentioned whole phase and thought, so that's what we're talking about.
No,
Listen,
No, but
that's
you
where
said
aside. Hold on,
No, that was a joke, dude.
hold
that's
on,
where the society is.
hold on.
The society
wow.
is not
Bernard,
as
can I ask you
Amiri,
a
conservative as it
question,
used to
brother?
be.
And you
Amiri,
support the whole
that
phase,
hold on.
Amiri.
Amiri, the whole the whole phase thing, that was a sidebar joke, but
It was a joke, bro.
overall, if we're talking, you're saying I don't know. That's just weird. I just never heard a man say he think his daughter
I think what it
is
highlights is how.
too young to get married. But just real quick,
Okay, go ahead.
how old was the guy that she married? Just curious, and then
They're the
we'll get
same.
out.
They're the same age.
Yeah, and so I get that that's tough, but if I got a daughter, I would rather her be attached to that guy and they roll up their sleeves together and figure that shit out
Uh,
versus her being single and potentially just getting knocked up by somebody who's not willing to commit to her in that kind of way. So it just comes off. It just hold on, wait, real quick.
Okay,
It
go
just
ahead.
comes off weird for a dad
Mm.
to even gamble with that. It's like could you just imagine we always going back to the 50s and stuff.
What?
Could you just imagine that guy, the dad in the 50s, where some 19-year-old is showing up with his heart on his sleeves, asking to marry your daughter, and then the dad said, I don't think she's ready for that. Like I just can't.
Well,
I don't know how
I
I don't know how men get
I,
there. I understand
Wait, let
why
me say something,
women
man. Hello.
understand. No,
well, hold on.
complex, dude.
Let me respond. Let
Calm
me
back, calm
respond to
back.
that real fast,
Understand
guys.
understand
Okay.
why
That was
women. I
chaos.
understand why women think that, but I don't
Mhm.
understand how a dad is thinking that in regards to his daughter. But
Well,
I'll
let
let
me
you respond to that, and then
okay.
I'll see what chaos got to
Okay,
say.
well, if he maybe if he was another race other than black and didn't come from black culture, then maybe I wouldn't have had such an aversion to it. But let's be real. I think black men leave a lot to be desired in the way of performance as it relates to husbandry and
You
You a
gotta
marriage.
love it.
divester, my
You
nigga.
gotta love it. You
You a
gotta
Tell
love
me,
this shit.
divester.
This is awesome. This is fucking awesome.
A
tell me what's
grown
wrong
Amiri,
with
male
anything I just said.
digester. No,
Amiri.
listen. If you want your daughter to date out, that's fine. That is okay. I don't
Amiri.
I
care about
mean,
that part. But
Hey,
the
no,
hatred for black
David. He's
men.
a fucking insider divester, dude. Like insider trader. He's an
Amiri.
insider
You gotta take
divester.
Bernard.
All right,
I mean,
we gonna
Bernard.
let y'all.
y'all have
You
been sitting
doing
here
Let me
good,
speak
talking.
bro.
now.
You
Well,
doing
no, hold
good,
on,
Amir. You
Bernard
doing
Riley.
good.
Bernard, hold on, real fast, Bernard. You've been sitting here talking about black culture. So if that's the case, why would I want my daughter to marry a black man who that black culture created?
I think that
You're basically
ideally,
telling your daughter you ain't
ideal,
shit.
I'm
ideally,
an
what you
anomaly. I'm
would
like Neo.
want. Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
god.
Ideally, what you would
One
want
nigga syndrome.
is for go man.
I'm the
But ideally,
Highlander.
what
There can be only one. There's
yeah,
only one
ideally,
of me.
Right, yeah,
ideally,
the one
I
nigga syndrome.
hold
Come
on,
on,
come on,
bro.
hey,
You ain't
whoa,
special. I'm sorry. I'm
whoa.
sorry.
Well,
I'm just can y'all can hear me, right?
yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all
Yeah,
right,
let's
No,
let
we
the
all right.
can't, bro.
Bernard. I got
Okay,
We
you.
all
can't
right,
talk
all
Go
about
right.
ahead.
it.
So ideally, what you would want is for example, like my woman is black. Okay, the negative aspects of black culture, she doesn't exhibit that. The negative aspects of black culture, I don't exhibit that. That's where two black people can come together and have something that looks fucking normal. So for you to just paint this man and just say, oh, he's black, therefore a problem, but you would be okay if some white or Mexican dude showed up, but while also claiming a subtle amount of pro-blackness. That's fucking weird. That is weird. You should want the black people with their head on straight to operate a certain way and do things the right way, and hopefully build and represent and grow more black people to operate and represent in that way. But
And Bernard,
we're
he's
gonna push
saying this while holding a baby.
while holding the baby. Goddamn. Okay, hold on. Wait. We're gonna push pause. I do want to hear
I
with
have to be
complex.
involved in the process so I can have
You
guidance
holding your baby like
Uh,
your daddy
and
ain't
show them
shit. Oh my god.
Bernard.
right.
I
Well, hold
mean,
on.
Bernard.
think about
You
the
holding your
irony.
Bernard.
grandbaby. Do you tell the
Bro,
okay,
grandbaby
this
your
is
daddy
sad.
ain't
This is
shit?
not a
Hello,
good look,
Bernard.
all
fam.
right, we got it.
Can I ask you a question, Bernard? This is really
We're gonna go to
important now.
Well,
go to
no.
complex. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'll just tell the
No,
complex.
truth.
I'm gonna chill,
I
chill,
would,
chill.
hold
Let me
on,
speak. Let me speak. I
no,
got.
no. Chaos. The last time I checked, this was
I
one
mean,
on
not
one with
complex,
Amiri Brown.
chaos.
So let me finish. So I mean, I'll just be honest. I really
We know
don't
who
want my.
we know who wear the pants in y'all relationship. I'm just playing.
I really don't
Jesus
want.
Christ.
I really don't want my daughters dealing with by and large black men. It just that I mean, listen, I just look at the society. Y'all can talk all this shit y'all talking, but I've been around black men my whole life, and I see how they get down and how they operate and how they move. By and large, it is
You
what it is.
say that like you've dated him.
You can come with
Hold on,
you can come with
hold on.
the
I
false
accept that.
descriptions of black masculinity all you want, but the bottom line is that niggas be on some bullshit. Whether they and that's
Well,
whether
no,
they're married or not.
Amiri.
Niggas ain't shit.
If I
I
accept
mean,
that,
I'm
if I
just saying.
accept that position, hold on. If I accept that position from you,
I
why
would
do
much
you
rather
take issue?
my
Hold
daughters
on. Let me get the
not deal
question
with
out.
black men right now. Go ahead.
Why do you take issue with the black men who hold your same position towards black women?
I
Oh.
don't do what you do.
No, you
I'm
you
not.
You
got a
make
whole
content
YouTube
I'm
about
not.
it.
channel.
I'm not on here. No,
Hold
that's
on,
not true. I'm
Amiri.
not on here.
Amiri, you got a whole YouTube channel dedicated to doing exactly what his
Jesus
brother just
Christ.
said. Hold on, wait, I
No,
don't
I
know if
have
you
a
heard.
whole
Hold on,
YouTube.
wait. Hold
Oh,
on,
go ahead.
wait.
Go ahead.
You got a whole YouTube channel dedicated to doing exactly what he just said. So you can't then
No,
say,
that's
"Well, I
not
don't
true.
care, dude."
I have a whole
Okay.
YouTube channel dedicated to debunking the bullshit tropes that the black manosphere peddles. That's not
Right.
really
You only
weighted.
care about
That's not
cleaning up the
really
woman's
rated.
image.
That's not really weighted with the intellectual
Where's your real estate
acumen
content?
that it takes to.
Where's your real estate content?
It's on my channel.
Where's the video of you and your real estate team of
All right.
brothers? Where's that shit at?
It's on my YouTube channel.
Okay. All right.
Bullshit.
Here's the deal.
Go look it up.
We're going. Wait a minute. We're going to chaos
You didn't
lane.
do
Go
your
ahead,
research,
chaos.
complex design.
Go,
That's the
complex.
difference.
Don't say nothing. We're going to chaos. Go ahead.
Question: is this a question or a dialogue? Today's stream, Bernard.
What?
That's an asking you question. Is this dialogue or questioning?
Dialogue or questioning?
Yeah, because isn't Amiri the guest to today's stream?
Yes, he's a guest on my show. What is you? What
So
you?
why is we have dialogues?
Wait, Hood. I want to. What the fuck? Hood server, please mute up.
Yeah, mute yourself up, bro.
All right, Chaos. Start over. Okay, what are you saying?
I'm asking: is this a dialogue or a question? Because isn't Amiri the guest of today's show?
Yes, he's a guest on today's show. Okay, what's your point?
So I'm hearing more dialogue than question. I hear
one questions involve dialogue. Dialogue involves questions.
Stop. Chaos, don't play tough. Please don't. You just got okay.
Stop straight,
Chaos. I run my show how I run my show. Don't come up here and try to say that they need to not challenge him on what he's saying. They just need to ask questions so he can have a platform to speak and get his shit off. No, his shit is going to be challenged. That is the deal. That's what I do on my show. I call it
like what the fuck?
Squad. Don't try to come in here and change or dictate my shit.
It's more of a dialogue.
You're coming. No, it's a conversation. It's a roundtable discussion that you just got disinvited from. All right. Let's
don't get scalped, dude. Don't get scalped.
All right. Let's go. Hold on. Let's damn it. What happened to Pablo? What happened to Pablo? All right. So all right, let's
he literally came up trying to tone police, Bernard.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
What kind of shit is that?
What the fuck is going on? Okay, real quick. Sodomy and Chicken again. He said when he speaks, I hear the bald eagle words. Okay, cool. I know I missed a lot of super chats. I'm about to try to dig them up. I'm gonna pass the mic to Archer. Go ahead. What you got for Amiri Brown? Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Well, I just want to say one thing to Amiri because I found what he just said about his daughter and him being concerned about his daughter marrying a black man. I found that it's kind of weird because I don't know his life at all, but it would be interesting to know if he has any sons or grandsons, and does he feel the same way about them marrying a black woman at 19 years old? Is that too young for them, or is the black woman they're picking from all good enough to marry at 19, while the black men at 19 are lackluster?
No, I think that's just too young for where the society is. It's too young. It's too many. I got to remember, like I said, when I got married, when me and Bernard got married at our age, you didn't have social media, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have Instagram. So I think those things, the society just doesn't reinforce people getting married at that young of an age in this day and time. It just is what it is.
But you didn't say that. Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you didn't say that. You said your biggest issue was not that she was 19, it's that she brought a black man to your door.
Yeah, because of black culture. Don't y'all have a problem with black culture? But when that culture, but when that culture implicates black men, now you have a problem with it. Because the same culture that y'all are criticizing produced you. So you're a product of that culture.
I agree with you, but I'm asking you on the flip side, do you feel the same way if your son was to bring home a 19-year-old girl? Do you think she's part of the culture as well? And the problem?
Yes, they both are.
Okay, fair enough.
They're both a part of the culture.
So wow. Just to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
If your son says, hey, Dad, I found a wonderful girl. I think, I want to spend my life with her. You bring her up, and then she show up a dark-skinned black woman with natural hair. You gonna look at her and say, nope, this culture fucked up. Get her out of here. Go get you.
Wait a minute. Wait, so by that logic, are you saying your daughter ain't shit?
No, listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have to be able to develop the skill sets that make marriages worthwhile, as opposed to doing it prematurely. And I don't see how that's a wrong-headed or illogical position.
Well, I want to.
You would want them to be more readily equipped to handle the stresses that.
Okay, but those are characteristics that are race agnostic. You kind of took an aim and said, well, black men ain't worthy of it.
Talking about black culture. So when that black
wait a minute, wait. But then you turn around. And brought up some other men. But then you turn around and said, well, it's an age thing. So which one is it, bro?
Y'all been talking.
Which one is it, bro?
Black culture produced your black.
And tone that shit down. Put some bass in your voice, bro.
But
Amiri, hold on, real quick.
Hold what you've been saying. Get ready.
All right, Amiri, hold on. As simple as this. Hold on. Wait. Stop. So, are we going? I think we're going down a somewhat ignorant path. Okay, yes, we do got. there are issues with black culture, but Amiri, do you agree with just a simple thing at judging individual, not to get all sappy or whatever, but judging individuals not by the color of the skin, but by the content of their characters? I do that. That's why I could say, yes, it's a lot of things wrong with black culture. There's a lot of things really wrong with black female culture, but the black women that I'm with, I can judge her by her individual contents, the individual contents of her character, and she's good. Do you even at least believe that? Because if not, you're basically essentially a damn near pro-black racist divester. Like, it's weird.
I swear to God,
this makes sense.
An insider divester.
No, I think what y'all have a problem with is how I'm using y'all own argument against you. If black culture is the problem, then that means the majority of black men are problematic because that's the culture that produced them. So either I'm going to make you brothers acknowledge what's really going on, or we're going to go with the culture argument, which implicates and indicts you of your own failures as black men. Because
that's bullshit. That's utter bullshit. That's utter bullshit. That's utter fucking bullshit.
The culture isn't the problem.
Amiri,
either the culture is the problem,
if you can say that, if you can say that wholeheartedly, why do you stand so firmly with only the women?
What do you mean?
The culture made them too. They are the culture too. You should be hating them equally.
I don't. Well, number one,
you can't. You can't though, right?
Well, hold up. Number one,
are they not culture? Are they not black culture, Amiri?
Are you gonna
the men make the culture. The men make the culture. You all say that you're the leaders. You say that you're the head.
Whoa! Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Stop. Whoever the hell you are, I didn't call on you. I didn't invite you into the conversation. Mute up until I call on you. All right. Who was talking?
I think that
I was just saying though, this thing about the culture, Amiri. If you got such an issue with the black culture, it's two-sided. There are men and women. We're not playing this million gender stuff. There's men over here and there's women over there. And if you're going to indict the entirety of the culture, why are you only looking at the men? Because I can agree with you about the culture. And I make the decision I make the distinction like this. I dislike black culture. Black people are a different thing. I take black people as they come. The culture on the whole has problems. And you basically said, I'll just discount most of black men, pretty much all black men. But what about the women, bro? Are they not culture?
Well, number one, I don't take at face value that the problem is necessarily cultural. Like I said, it's structural. Now, it's dealing specifically with my daughter and her husband. Of course, much of my consternation would have to do with their economic situation. The brother is young, so he hasn't even reached the.
Well, why don't you hire him? Why don't you hire him? Why don't you hire him?
Amiri, Amiri, if you don't believe the argument, why are you putting it out? You literally just said, "Well, I don't even believe that shit." So we just spent 5 minutes on your lives.
I'm using y'all own logic.
Look, if Amiri was running a real fucking patriarchy, if he was running a real fucking patriarchy in his home, he would hire his son-in-law and he would groom him to take the fucking family business over. But Amiri, you ain't shit.
No, you got sons though. You got sons, so why would you do that? No, you already got sons to do that for.
Time out. I think that was Complex who was talking, who just made a damn good point. Now, you said that you hire black men, for your what did you say? A real
ain't shit ones, Bernard.
Business. Easy. Okay, you hire black men for your real estate business. Your daughter wanted to get married. A young 19-year-old black man wanted to marry your daughter. Here you are with a business and an infrastructure. You could hire him, and if everything goes well, and his culture, the contents of his character check out over time, like he could gradually, as y'all grow the company, he could gradually move himself up into a higher position. Like you basically, based off everything you said, you're in position to give.
Come on, bro. Be that fucking patriarch, dog.
Wait.
Calm down.
Stop. Come on. You're in position to give your son-in-law essentially the equivalent of white privilege, to where he end up being the right-hand man in a growing company. Like, and while married to your daughter, your daughter going to benefit from that. The grandbaby that you got on your lap right now going to benefit from that. You in position, but you just looked at his skin color and said, "Nope,
thank you."
Out of here. Y'all the ones who said.
I.e. Jared Kushner. Oh, here we go. Y'all said that. No, nigga, you said it.
Fucked up now. That's number one. Number two, I don't know any of you niggas an explanation. Number three, you're not telling me nothing I don't already know. Like I told my son-in-law.
Who's gonna check me, boo?
Like I told my son-in-law, he has to prove himself. I'm not just gonna just going to put you in that position. I've already talked to
No,
you.
that's why you should have started. I mean, you just start them, just give them a job. Just that's simple. If you got some little real estate thing, I don't know.
You don't have any entry level positions.
What I'm gonna give him? What I'm gonna give him a job doing? What you suggest I give him a job?
You have a real estate business.
Entry level position.
You say you hire black man.
You said you hired.
But the majority of the men I hire, they're doing labor, and then I deal with contractors. So
okay, labor.
I mean, he doesn't have a real estate license.
Get him one.
Wait a minute.
Get him one.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I can't just
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, all right. And then when you invest in real estate, you need people to work the real estate to basically build it up. That's that labor that you're talking about. He could start out there doing labor. As he gains more experience. You can give him some white privilege and basically let him go out, let him earn it. Basically.
It's fucking amazing, Bernard. He comes in here and says this shit. That's why we won't do it. Bernard, it's amazing how you come in here, you say this shit, and then the same brothers he's talking all this, ain't no leadership, all this shit. These brothers are sitting on the panel right now, literally telling this motherfucker how to do it. Make it make sense, y'all.
Can we calm down right now? Because the panel's pretty much going left as far as his personal life. That's not the topic right here. At the end of the day, he says
not really. I mean,
his personal life is an example of his feeling toward black men.
Let's move past that.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Wait. Real quick.
Call all of them.
Let's push pause. All right. Before we go to Pablo, Okay. Archer, go ahead. You was asking him some questions. I do want you to finish.
I got one more question.
Finish asking him your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to eat up your panel too much, but you said you said black people shouldn't get married at 19. Now I'm gonna stick on this marriage piece because you're pro black marriage, pro black family, but you don't believe in doing it young. You think they should do it older. We already established that in black culture, a lot of people don't believe women should even think about marriage to 30. If you ask somebody like Jason Black, he says men shouldn't even think about the 40. Now, we have a group of people where we're waiting to our 30s and 40s to get married for the first time. How do you see that playing off with a positive result in the future? Because you're a living example of that. You say your daughter.
It's not going to be as positive a result as people think. I wouldn't say that old. I think that's too old. I would say more like if you're going to pursue secondary education, maybe after you've all gotten your degrees and pretty much figured out when you're 19, you don't even know what you want to do with your life.
Okay, but I understand that. I get what you're saying. But so what do you see as the ideal age for black men and women to start thinking about marriage and long-term family building? What do you think is the proper age for that?
I would say mid-20s to early 30s.
And do you realize that our group of black women get married? I think the men do too, but we get married later than any other demographic in America.
Well, I know, and a lot of that has to do with economics.
Well, and a lot of that also has to do with the fact that many of our women don't want to get married. And I think
it has to do with, hold on, wait, time out. If it has to do with economics, it's because there's less economic opportunities for black men because there's less black businesses. You're a black man with a black business who can provide economic opportunities, but you denied one for the man who's married to your damn daughter. I'm sorry. Okay, we don't want to go. I don't want to go back there. All right, thanks, Archer. Go ahead, Pablo. We're gonna go to Pablo.
Can I throw something out real quick? I just want to make this point to your thing about getting married later in life. From women's perspective, I think it's the numbers, the research has borne out. If women marry later, the marriages don't necessarily last because they've spent too much time in the world. So I don't know if that married later. I think the earlier the better, honestly.
Well, so what you want, Hood Server? You want these sisters to get married?
The earlier the better. It's not complicated, bro. The earlier the better.
Okay, so what's the age? What age range?
It's legal, bro. If you're 18, you can get married. Why is that such a bad thing?
So you basically you think the black woman should be barefoot and pregnant, and that would
no. Spend your whole phase with a man who's going to support you.
Okay, and who's to say that you don't have some sisters doing that?
Oh my God, this fucking female-minded rabbit hole, dude. Really?
I'm saying
tell me
because
that.
No, well, listen.
But we're going to pass the mic. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too far. We're going to pass the mic.
Yeah, go to Pablo.
If I look at the numbers, the bottom line is by the numbers, majority of black men are not husband material.
Go to Pablo, man. Bernard, please.
Exactly. Silence. Go
okay.
ahead.
This gentleman's
Hold on. Explain
attitudes.
what you wait a minute. Explain what you mean by the numbers. Most black men are not
Well, most like I've
husband
talked
material.
about, most black men are underemployed, unemployed, or long-term jobless. That's just what it is.
Okay, all right. So you're
I don't know
well,
if that's most, but okay.
First off, most are not unemployed. That's
Most
not
that's in the
true.
date. Most that's in the dating pool. Most that's in the dating
Okay,
pool.
well,
And black
no,
women, and black
okay,
women,
well,
and black
okay,
women. When
by
you factor
that
when you
logic,
factor
hold
in the
on.
LGBT, when you factor in
Okay, no
brothers
bullshit.
you know,
You
it's not
see,
bullshit.
this is why you can't
Oh
talk
my
to this guy.
God.
Hold
X is
on.
This is
small.
why you can't talk to
So
this
let me
guy.
guess. So let me guess. Black men
Hold
just
on.
want to marry black women, and it's the black women.
Hold on. Let's make this very clear. If you're going to say that most that's in the dating pool, then that same thing would apply to all men, because like I said, it's like 30% of all men not in the labor force, but if 50% of all those other men are married, then that means the majority of those left in the dating pool are not would not be married. So that statement, I mean, the majority of those left in the dating, majority of those left in the hold on, wait, time out. Majority of those left in the dating pool would possibly be that unemployed or underemployed aspect. Here's the goofy part about it. The same thing that you're saying about black men, statistically, that same thing applies to Hispanic and Latino men, but their women and their, I guess, pander bears aren't getting online basically saying y'all ain't worthy, y'all ain't worthy, y'all ain't worthy. They have the same exact issue, statistically like that. So when I break down the numbers, because I've looked at those numbers plenty of times, and you look at the average white man making 50K, the average black man making 40K, the average Hispanic and Latino man making less, and the amount of the percent that's in the labor force, it's not that huge of a difference. You're trying to you're trying to create a problem where it necessarily isn't, to provide excuse for the actions and behaviors of black women. That's all you're essentially doing.
You have to factor in the space. You can't just look at data statistics and not factor in the social space of how and where we live.
Oh God, get out of here.
Okay, so now the social scientists just incorrect, but y'all red pill knowledge.
Let's get to Pablo.
This guy.
Let's go ahead, Pablo.
Y'all hate the truth about yourselves.
Okay, this gentleman.
Wait, about ourselves?
Yeah, because
wouldn't that apply to you?
Brother, listen,
how do you feel about
no, he's special.
This whole discussion.
He a Highlander nigga.
You've been talking about black culture, and then now when I highlight how that black culture implicates the majority of black men, now y'all have a problem. You're gonna
now. So it's my turn. It's my turn now. It's my turn.
Y'all can get
it's my turn. Sir, you have so much disrespect for black men. You're still talking over me. Hush.
Y'all don't represent black men. We've already asked.
Sir, be quiet.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go to black men. All right, Amiri. We're gonna go to Pablo. Everybody, be cool. Everybody, chill. We're going to Pablo, and Ed got next.
He's so disrespectful.
All right, Pablo. Let's bring it down. Whatever you came up to say, go ahead. You got it.
So it's funny. He talks about culture. Well, the majority of our black boys are raised by single mother households with single women alone, who live alone without the custodial input of their fathers.
Stop getting them pregnant. Next topic.
Well, that's one thing you and I agree on. That's the one thing you and I agree on, because I haven't.
We are. So hold on. Wait, time out. Over here. No, over here. Oh, wait, stop. Over here, we are harsh critics of the serial impregnators out there slinging.
I'm not even talking about serial impregnators. I'm talking about brothers getting sisters pregnant, not married.
No. Wait a minute. You can't. Hold on. You can't say that, because then now you're talking about me, somebody who also got married at 19 and got a woman pregnant. Or you're talking about Lil Big Nate, who got married and had his kids within his marriage. You're talking about a conservative who had 3 kids with the same woman and then proposed, and then she eventually declined getting married.
So now let's get into why she declined his marriage proposal.
You're talking to
no, let's go back to Pablo.
Have that discussion. Y'all want to talk about my personal life? My personal life is
so wait a minute.
I'll give you my baby mama number, bro.
Let's have the discussion.
I'll give you her number, bro. You can talk to her.
Why she didn't want to marry you, conservative? Let's talk about.
I'll give you her number. You can save this. You can save a black family. Would you like to do that? Would you like to try?
No, I'm just
Would
saying.
you like to try to put our
Maybe.
family back
Here,
together, Amiri?
Why do
Here,
you
I'm going to throw out a theory as to why maybe she didn't want to marry hood conservative. Here you go.
Okay.
She
Go ahead.
maybe didn't want to marry hood conservatives because she didn't want to follow black male leadership like the majority of modern black women today do not. They want to be independent. They want to partner. They do not want black male leadership. What they want is yes men.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Define black male leadership. What does black male leadership look like?
Black male leadership
Hold on,
means
hold
the
on, let me
dude that knocks you
let me
up,
give
you
you
need to go
let me
ahead
give
and
you the
follow his
full
lead.
let me give you the full context of the question I'm asking. How do I know when I'm looking at black male leadership, and how do I know when I'm not looking at black male leadership?
How about a man that holds here, I'm about
Are
to
you
tell
a
you.
black?
I'm about to
Oh
tell you.
shit!
I'm about to tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
When you hold steady employment, when you do what you say you're going to do, when you provide protection, and when you provide safety and security. Now, that's black male leadership right there.
Okay, and I
Pablo,
would
you would think that
So
as a black man, he would know that shit.
now I
and
would I
so
would
and
now
so, wait a minute, I'm not finished. You've been filibustering all day. Can I
okay.
get my thing off here for
All
a
right, go
minute?
ahead, and I
Just a
want to
minute.
respond. Go ahead.
You're gonna have plenty of opportunity to respond.
All right, go ahead.
There are plenty of black men in this space who take a rod and staff toward the black male layabouts and do nothings.
Mhm.
We do it all the time. We do it all the time. But you seem to totally disregard the men who are doing the things that they are supposed to be doing, who are trying to do things to help other black boys and black men achieve and not fall into the traps. You seem to be blaming them.
Bingo.
Are you finished?
While
Yes, sir.
babysitting.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
That,
While at my job.
that's a part of patriarchy, looking after the youngins. So I have no problem with that. There's nothing you can say to indict my manhood or masculinity
Wait,
complex.
I'm not. I literally
you
point
don't
out the fact of babysitting while saying all this.
And I'm just saying.
you don't get to big up patriarchy, because if you was truly on some patriarchal shit, that man,
You be
the man
grinding.
who wanted to marry your daughter, and you in
Let me ask you a question.
you're in position to hire black men.
I'm saying if you was doing it right.
Let me ask y'all a question.
You would have hired him like every other group of men who
if you were doing it right.
who's running a business of some
No, he's an
sort.
ain't shit nigga to him. That's what it is.
If he can give his son-in-law a job, even if it's entry level, he's going to give him that entry level job, and is going to give him white privilege all the way up every ladder, and as he earns it, and then help someone.
Well, let me ask y'all a question.
Bernard, he'd rather babysit.
Let me ask y'all a
You
question.
weren't even willing to do that.
How long did
you don't get to talk about patriarchy, man.
How long did y'all aren't patriarchal? My position on the manosphere is y'all not patriarchal.
Says the guy who's babysitting.
Y'all are chauvinistic and think y'all patriarchal.
Well, that's hold on. That's
Yes,
it.
yes.
Like,
Respect my misogyny,
let y'all
bro.
tell it. The most of y'all don't. Let y'all tell it. According to y'all talking point, the most of y'all don't even have kids. How are you a patriarchal?
I have a daughter.
I'm not even arguing.
All right, let's make a few things. Hold on, wait. All right, let's stop. I'm about to go to Ed, but let's make a few things. Let's make a few things. Hold on. Let's make a few things.
I don't want to hear y'all theory. There's a difference between theorists and practitioners.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Let's make a few things very clear.
And I got to get out of here in a second.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, I just want to make it very clear. When you're talking about, if we're just talking about my channel and the men that I tend to congregate with on my channel, there's me who got custody, a single father. Little Big Nate, who was married, got custody, single father. Hood Conservatives, I think you said he was with a woman for 10, 12, however many years, and 3 kids. He tried to get married to her. She didn't want to get married. That's his situation. And there's quite a few. There's
Archer has kids.
There's few that don't got kids.
Has kids.
Okay, so
I have a daughter that was married and I'm widowed.
It's only me and James.
Time out.
Y'all been running around.
Shit. Hold on. There's complex. Who was married and widowed, so he's raising his daughter. So this space isn't just some anti-patriarchal space like that. You gotta get out of that. There are some people who are on the MGTOW spectrum, and they're talking about separation other than casual sexual encounters or whatever.
Well,
Yes, that is an aspect of it. They
well-
over there doing it. They over there doing something separate, but there is a patriarchal wing of the Black Manosphere.
All
where
right, so
people
the
are
black,
very patriarchal in their thoughts and ideas. So don't label it like that. When we talk about, I'm gonna go to you. Get 10 seconds, Ed. 10 seconds, Ed. When we talk about the majority of Black men not having children, that is to counter the notion that the majority of Black men are out there serial impregnating. Majority of the Black men who have kids are married. That's the simple point that we bring up. But go ahead, Ed. You got it.
All right, so everybody, the Black SYSBM is separate from the Black Manosphere. MGTOW is separate from the Black Manosphere. MGTOW was rejected by the Black Manosphere in its very early inception. So, and SYSBM is their own thing, although there's a lot of overlap. Folks know this. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm hearing, okay, the Black Manosphere ain't shit, but I'm hearing Black men ain't shit too. So all Black men think like you, yet you keep saying most Black men ain't shit. Most Black men are not in this space, granted. So it's this overlap where I don't know if you're talking about us or you talk about Black men as a whole, because you said Black men are not marriage material, as if most Black men are in the Black Manosphere, which is actually not true. So this is the question that I really got for you. This is the first one. Number one, which one do you believe is more of an honor to a man, having their kid or getting married to, or of a woman being married to him?
Say that again. Which one
do you think is a woman paying more of an honor to a man? A woman saying yes to marriage, and actually following through with the marriage, or a woman giving a man a child? If you have to pick.
Marriages can break down. Well, having a child by a man is much more of a lifelong commitment because y'all forever be tied together because both of y'all have a responsibility to the child. That's a tough one. It's not much daylight between the two, but if I had to pick, I would say having this child.
So
unbelievable.
Let's say I agree with you that 90% of these niggas ain't shit and are not marriage material.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck are these bitches having their kids then? And why aren't you chastising these women saying stop having babies by these raggedy ass niggas?
Well, the reason why I'm not saying that. The reason why I'm not saying that is because I don't believe that's what's going on. I've been talking to Bernard for the first hour of what I believe is going on. So I don't believe that.
So you don't believe?
Well, hold up. Let me finish. You asked the question. Let me answer the question. You asked. I don't believe that majority of sisters are having babies for men who ain't shit. I believe what's happening is you have brothers and sisters who live around each other. They date each other and they have children with each other, but they don't necessarily see the value in marriage because they come from an environment and from a social climate, especially with us, where they just haven't seen many successful marriages. And then we haven't even began to deal with the structural factors that make marriage unpalatable for many Black men and Black women.
But that's not what I was saying. Hold on.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't have to see the value in marriage. You don't have to see the value in marriage to understand a nigga is a fucking Dusty or a Naker.
They're not having children. They're not having children by Dusties though.
Well, so
who the fuck are they having children by?
They're having children by a majority of Black men have children, so they're having children by a majority of
majority of Black
men
have. Hold on,
look at the CDC data.
What percentage of Black men have children?
Okay, the Black men in let me give it to you. Black men in the ages of the 20s, 25% have children. Black men, once you get to the age range of 30, 65% have children. And Black men, by the time you get to 40, 80% have children. That's directly from the Census Bureau.
So you're saying that 80% of Black men have children?
By the time Black men reach 40, 80% have children. That's what the census.
How many of those children are tied to those Black men being married?
Wait, because
you don't know that one, so don't make those stupid ass statements, bro.
No.
Complex.
Ed Anderson is saying that Black women are having. Ed Anderson is saying that Black women are having babies by dusty Black men, and what I'm saying is no, Black women are having babies by a majority of Black men.
Well, you said the majority of
Black men.
Hold on, because you just said before a few minutes ago that a vast majority of Black men that are in the dating pool are long-term not employed, and if you're you're not employed,
Thank
you
you.
can pull child support. You
Yeah.
can't pull child support from what's not there. Also, we can correlate this by how much these females talk about they ain't getting no money out of these niggas. We know it's not because the government ain't squeezing these niggas as hard as they can. So I mean, my question is, by your logic, if the majority of black men have kids at that level, then quite frankly, a lot of stuff that you're saying would not be true. Because you don't understand.
I'm saying, does this dude even understand his own points?
Hold on, complex. You don't
Y'all
understand.
understand y'all.
Dude, I wish the majority of black men had kids, because I would have a lot bigger subscriber count. Show it with Mr. Palmer and Angry Man and Bernard. We'd have a lot more niggas complaining about child support if that was really the case.
So what you're saying is that the Census Bureau's data is just they're lying on black men?
No, what I'm saying is your fucking comprehension.
No.
Yeah, you're getting the numbers skewed.
Yeah, I think you're reading it.
Niggas are lying.
You're getting the numbers skewed. That's what's happening.
Hold on. I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong.
I have it on my computer.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong. I'm gonna tell you.
Hold on.
Can we do screen share?
Now, hold on.
Yes, we can do screen. Hold on, time out.
Hold on.
Ed. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to you, Ed. I think the problem here is that the stats could be getting read wrong. I mean, we did have a show on that when we went over those numbers, and there was some confusion about the data. But so go ahead, Ed.
Because we did, and so I'm letting you know you don't want to bring the paperwork up, but if you do, go ahead. But the thing is, where you're getting it wrong, and I'm gonna tell you up front, where you're getting wrong is they're talking about the folks that have kids. They're not talking about the totality of black men and the way you're reading it. They're saying for the black men that have kids, X amount have kids by this age.
Thank you.
X amount have kids by this age. X amount have kids by this age. I know that
the
math does not operate. It doesn't work when you try to read the statistics the way you're reading it.
That's incorrect.
That is what it says.
No, it's not. Real quick. Basically, everybody that's those stats you're about to show. Everybody in those stats was all representative of all men who have children. Men who don't have children, I don't even think were represented in those stats. They were just talking about the men who have children and the ages by which they have them.
If I may, right quick.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question, Ed Anderson.
Pull it up.
Let me ask you a question. Of men in America, what is the percentage of men in America that have children?
Okay, if I may.
Go ahead, GC.
No, answer the question, Ed.
I don't know the exact percentage.
Exactly, you don't know the exact number. What the
this doesn't mean anything.
I didn't finish. No.
A majority of
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm about to be exercising the hell out the mute button.
Go ahead.
One at a time. But no, I wanted to. Ed, go ahead and respond.
Black men occupy the widest gap between men that have kids and men that don't have kids. One of those reasons why they occupy that gap, and you can see that in the years, is once they started putting the clamps on fucking child support, a lot of dudes did not have kids for fear of that. When they started, and so you see this in the 90s, that's when you started to see it widen a little bit, and it's been widening ever since. Now, as far as other groups, I believe Hispanics are the ones that have like the most kids, as far as percentages of them. And then you got white men, obviously. But black men are at the bottom of that tier. Now, the propaganda will tell you it's a whole bunch of niggas having kids as a wide gap. But what you find is what you have is a lot of black women man sharing with a lot of kids. So you got a lot of kid dudes that have a whole gang of kids, but that's a smaller percentage, because remember, it doesn't take a lot of men to spread their seed if women are not protecting their womb, which is why I asked you the first question, because marriage is a way to be a stopgap with that. But if women are just deciding, I like how his dick works, and they're getting caught up in giving a baby to a dude, because if these women want to have hot girl summers, then have your hot girl summers. My issue is why you having a baby by the motherfucker. You can fuck them without having a baby by them. That's when they get caught up, and that's what happens. And we have seen that in the community. Remember, Papa's a Rolling Stone, all that other stuff. I'll see you there.
All right, let me ask you a question, Ed. So, with these black men who don't have children, how many of those black men aren't fathers because the woman decided to abort the
Here
child?
we go with the fucking
Because,
red herring. Oh my
because
God,
it's not a red herring. You don't control if a woman gonna birth a child or not.
dude, you shut the fuck up, bro.
So you
Shut up,
can't
dog.
take
Shut
credit for
up.
not
Don't
having
talk to me
children.
like that.
Hold on,
I'll beat your ass, dog. Shut up.
Amiri,
Y'all about to, like I said, y'all about to.
Amiri, I'll answer your question.
Let's pull
We'll
it up.
find out now. Hold on, I'm
wanna-
gonna answer your question. We'll
Let's
find
pull it
out
up.
now, won't we? Thanks to Clarence Thomas, according to the way these chicks are wilding out, we will find out how many percentages of them in a couple of years. But the reality of the situation is, even if that's the case, that's not black men's problem that black women use abortion as birth control. Because the truth is, statistics also show black men use condoms more than any other group. So, I mean, the reality is that question is irrelevant. You're saying, well, how many of these niggas would be fathers? Well, guess what? That's on the black women do that. Which, again, why is it are you getting pregnant, remember, I'm going to say this and I'm done, Bernard. You got 5 barriers here. The nigga you going to have sex with, are you going to let this nigga enter raw? Are you gonna let this nigga nut in you? And let's be clear, they usually nutting more than one time over sexual sessions. It ain't like they nut once, you all of a sudden having a kid. Then are you gonna wear the morning after pill? We'll put that with birth control. And then that's abortion. They go through all 4 of those barriers. Dudes pretty much, are you going to wear a condom or not? And then you can argue the nutting aspect. And then you also can argue. So it's 3 versus 5. My point is, that's it. That the comment you just made is a deflectionary comment. These women are aborting these kids, and that's on them. 19 million abortions.
So what I'm saying is the abortion rates have no bearing on male fertility. Is that what you're saying? Abortion rates have no bearing on
you
the
keep
fatherhood
on
rates
trying
for men.
to alter. It's like you're like in a.
I'm not altering anything.
Where you're trying to alter the argument.
No, I'm not altering anything.
Right. It doesn't.
Hey, let's
matter.
let GC get in.
It doesn't matter. The
It does matter.
Right. Because see, you are arguing 80% of these motherfuckers had kids. So now that you know that shit's bullshit, now you're trying to make it right by saying, I'll tell you this, it wouldn't be 80%, it wouldn't be 70%. You can look at countries that don't even have birth control like that, or don't even have access to abortion like that, and look at those percentages.
Right.
Last thing, I promise, 10 seconds. It will be 10 seconds. Here's my thing. Let's say I take all that and I just give all you that shit. I give you all the cards. Guess what? Women control sexual access. So if it's a whole bunch of niggas running through these bitches to the extent that you're talking about, that says a lot about how much black women value their womb. Women control sexual access, not men. So that's a commentary on the women, not the men. All right.
I do want to. We passed it to
y'all have
GC.
kids.
Go ahead, Game Changer. You got it.
Okay,
you're taking care of them.
Thank you. Now, I do want to say that I think that we're looking at statistics wrong. If we're trying to determine how many Black women are giving birth to ill-qualified or less than qualified fathers, having children with less than qualified fathers, we shouldn't look at the birth rate of Black men. That doesn't really make any sense. All that means is that Black men have birthed a child with someone, somewhere, somehow. In fact, as I look at the statistics, it doesn't necessarily say birth. It really says became a dad. And this doesn't exclude things like become a stepfather or adoption, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that we assume too much in that statistic to prove a point that's almost completely unrelated. Once again, these are men that became dad, not even necessarily by Black women who are the mother. We really shouldn't go off of that. Now, there isn't a statistic that say that. It's anecdotal that there have been some irresponsible breeding, amongst Black women for quite some time. And hopefully that trend is changing. I haven't seen it, but I'm not in touch with the current generation. Hopefully that's changed. I don't really have much more to say on the topic because I just got here and I haven't been listening as long, but I just want to throw that out there that we shouldn't be using that particular statistic.
All right,
now
fair
y'all
enough.
want to use the statistic now.
Well, no, you brought
because like I said, this is what Ed Anderson has been saying, that the majority of women who are having children by niggas who ain't shit and by dusty dudes. And what I'm saying is that majority of these sisters are having children by a broad spectrum of black men. Period.
Oh,
You said the black men, or you said the majority of black men are not marriage material.
That's what the economics say, brother.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Wait a minute.
I mean, it is what it is.
All right,
No,
go
no,
ahead,
I get it. But the statistics that you provided doesn't substantiate your claim against Edward, nor does it substantiate Edward's claim. It was just a useless thing to bring up, that the majority of black men have kids. Okay. I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. And it most certainly doesn't connect black women to having black women's kids. So, and that they're having kids responsibly by black men. I mean, it doesn't really prove anything in this regard.
So wait a second. So the fertility rate of the overall larger population of black men doesn't in any way provide clarity on who black women are having.
So we're bringing up fucking fertility rates. Jesus Christ.
I mean, well, once
is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Game Changer?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, I think that's a convenient argument to make, because it goes against the entire talking points of men in the black manosphere.
Well, when you say fertility,
hold on, wait.
Because then if you're saying that, what you're in a roundabout way doing is you're in a roundabout way indicting them. If a majority of black men have children, and it's a contention of the manosphere.
See there.
That's what y'all been saying.
Hold on, wait, no, it's the majority don't. It says the majority don't have children.
And I'm saying what the data says is that the majority do.
No, the majority.
Right. So he's taking CDC data and then saying that the manosphere. Okay.
Please, let's have some order here. Actually, this only assumes that the majority of black men are over the age of 40. Provided that they're not, and they probably aren't, like with most races, most men are not over 40, then chances are the majority.
The median age of
excuse me, do not interrupt. Do not interrupt. Do not interrupt. What the fuck is wrong with you? Listen.
My time is short.
So if you're making the statement that if the majority of black men have kids, which is really irrelevant if we're talking about the irresponsible breeding of black women. However, if you want to make a contest of that statement, the evidence is out there, but it's not in what you provided, because what you provided is the number of men over 40, which is a larger percent, of course. Now, since we don't know if the majority of the black male population is over 40, so we do not know how this is distributed throughout all of the ages. You haven't really made a point in that regard. You're still welcome to do it, and maybe you are right. I don't know what your overall point in doing that, but this doesn't do that.
Well, let me say. Well, number one, it goes by age group, and so I'm going to recite it.
But when we say, I understand.
Hold on, brother. You said you was going to let me make the point. When you look at black men who are in their 20s, roughly 25% are fathers. When you look at black men in their 30s, roughly 62.5% are fathers. When you look at black men who are in their 40s, roughly 80% are fathers. When you look at the median age of black men, are in their 30s, and that particular demographic that's represented by the data, by the statistics, over half of the percentages of them have children. And then what I'm saying is when you take all of those numbers and you add them together, when you take the
you don't math well. You don't math well.
That's not how you do the math by just taking those four.
I'm talking.
I understand that you're talking, but that's not how you do the math. That's not how you do the math by just taking those four numbers and those four factors and doing that. Look, Mike from Mike and Vince Perkins did a really good video where he surgically broke down the math really well and came up with a solid number that
you notice how in that chart. You notice how in that chart it always goes up. In that chart, it goes up as the age goes up. There's a reason for that. There's an art to reading these statistics and really understanding what they are. And I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm just saying it for real because see, the argument is, here's the argument that I have a problem with. And I'm sure Complex and the rest of us do as well. We're not out here pushing out narratives. That's not what we do here. We push out facts and we give understanding as to what those facts are so black men can make the best decision that they want to make. See, the difference between you and everybody on here that you keep on trying to jump on with the Black Manosphere is you come from the narrative and propaganda brigade, where they pretty much have a concept they want to push out, and then they try to find the shit in order to prove that point. And you're like one of the representatives that'll come over here and like come at us about that. But the reality is you're actually not looking at what the stuff as it is. All you're doing is you're trying to find ways to prove your points rather than even saying is your point can be proven in the first place. Well, like I can be wrong. I can be wrong about shit. I don't have to, because I don't look for a point to prove the shit. The conclusions that I come to is after I've actually looked at the shit. If I wish the conclusion was niggas weren't shit, because that's a very direct and easy way to solve that problem. It's the women where you got to focus on all of this emotional bullshit, and round the river, round the rosy, and then not to admit, fuck dealing with the chicks. We got to deal with dudes like you first. That's gonna keep guessing.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I do want to move it.
I gotta get out of here real soon. So
all right, real quick, hold on. Before Amiri, before you go, I do want to hear what Kristen Hutchinson had to say. If he had to say anything in response to you before you have to get out here. Go ahead, Kristen.
Can I go next?
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. Thank you for coming up. So I do have a couple questions.
All right.
So you said that many Black men are not viable economically. So at what point would you say a man is economically viable for marriage?
Well, I mean, it's just going to depend on the economic opportunities in his areas and the life choices. No, you asked me the question. Let me answer the question.
Well, hold on. You're not answering the question. He said, at what point would you say a man is economically viable? So I think he's asking for an amount, a
40K, 50K, 70K.
Well, I say my base would probably be about 50K.
Okay, so so let's run with the 50K amount. Okay, so that means the median for Black male is about 45,000. So you're going to say about 45% of Black males, it's called 47% of Black males are economically viable, right?
About 55%, right? About 55% or 50 or 55% of white men.
Well, if the median is 40, it's like 45,000.
Well, no, I was just throwing out. People say you shouldn't compare, but I like to compare. Just frame of reference. White men by the same. If we go with Amiri's with what he's saying, only about 50 to 55% of them are economically viable for marriage.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
Yet their women aren't, and their men aren't online talking about they're not economically viable. But go ahead, Kristen. Go ahead.
All right, so let's just make the argument. Let's just call the number 47% of Black men are economically viable. That's a long way between. That's a long way between 47% and 30% marriage rate, and particularly for Black women, for about a 28% marriage rate. So how do you suggest that number is made up to be in line with where it should be? Like, let's say we just get up to 44% or 40% even, because you understand not all men will get married and other things. Do you understand there's a huge gap? So I would say that big difference, that's a cultural issue because the gap is so large. If you're saying the number is 50,000. Now, if you want to make the argument that it's 80,000, then it makes more sense actually.
I would say 50. I would say 50,000. I'm not gonna. That's why I mentioned social media. Why you think I mentioned social media? Because there is a cultural component to this. My larger point is that when you're looking at the pool of eligible brothers, when you go into the actual space of where we are, of how we're situated spatially, that there isn't that vast a pool of viable men who can operate and act as husbands, and the main job and duty is provision and protection. So I don't know why. Hold on. Let me finish. I don't know. So I don't know why we're having this discussion as if that doesn't factor into everything.
It does factor in. Hold on, real quick.
And I still want to ask my question, but I really got to get out of here, y'all. I'm running late as it is. I really stayed 40 minutes sober.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let me just ask y'all this: if we're gonna say, okay, maybe it is quote unquote these bitches that what y'all want to say. My question is this: when y'all
don't lower the brow of our conversation and the points that we make.
So that's the only thing. That's the only
That's what
thing.
Ed been saying.
That's how he, and that's the only way he can comprehend what we're saying. So
well, no, you're the one who's saying it. But so let me ask you a question. When y'all go out into just the world, right? And, your community, you're around, you're doing things, and say if y'all run into, let's say, 10 black men, are y'all telling me that 5.5% out of those black men won't have children? What's the ratio of black men? Hold on, let me ask the question. What's the ratio of the black men that you run across who are fathers and who aren't?
What you mean? Well, how many niggas do I see pushing a fucking stroller?
Like you just basically, Amiri, you just basically said you want us to just go eyeball it.
Which shows you how much respect you have.
No. What I'm asking is, are you guys' life experiences in concert with the statistics you're trying to cite? And if it's not, and if it's not, how do you rectify that? If the data is saying majority of y'all don't have children, but when you go out into the world, you're running across
the data says 51% of black men don't have children. It's 50-50.
Can I please finish? What I'm saying
and
is,
you assuming that his baby that he's pushing, that's her baby.
Is coming. Y'all don't want to stop talking. What I'm saying is when you go out into the world, are your life experiences in concert with the data?
Yes.
Y'all. Yes. So the majority of black men that you're running across don't have fathers. That's what you're saying.
But when you say the majority, you make it sound like we're saying 80% of these black men don't got kids. Those are exaggerated numbers. You're saying that what we say what we say is 50. The data says 51 to 53% do not have kids. That's half. You make it sound like it's got to be this over. We ain't saying ain't no nigga ain't got no kids. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a child support tangent in our space.
Okay. So what you're telling me is that when you go out into the world, Ed, you have a 50-50 chance to run across a black man who's a father.
Oh my God, nigga! I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Exactly. So basically,
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Your life experiences do not support the rhetoric that you all are.
Bro, your life experience doesn't support your rhetoric, Amiri.
Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Oh shit! Did he leave? All right.
Yeah, he left. He rage quit because his life experience is conservative, and he up here defending these liberal loose hoes, bro. What the hell?
I mean, it ain't
raising
even
a married daughter and all that shit.
Well, it ain't even about that. Like, it's even what Christian said. I don't even go with. Because I remember with Lori Cutno said this, and I looked it up, and it's true. We talked about this on the Coliseum. Complex was there too. Only like 25% of black men make 50K individually. It may be a little bit higher now, but they make 50. But keep in mind, 50K or up. We're not talking about 40 or something like that. 25% make that.
It was at 33% last I saw on Black.
And that is
I have economic data.
Hold on. Okay, but let me say this, and I'll let you go. Also, you got to look at most of where the black men make that are in areas where the cost of living, so that it ain't like they're in Alabama or even where the fuck I live in Raleigh, which is starting to get expensive. Hell, even Nashville is starting to get expensive in the South. No, they usually live in areas where that 50K don't mean shit. So the thing is, we're not even coming out. My argument with him is that you notice how he never ever really addressed that. You can say they're not economically viable for marriage. Cool. Why are they viable to bring a child into this world? Shout out to SWP. He been talking about that for 10 fucking years. He tried to give that a pass. You notice how he gave that a pass? I'm done.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Christian. You was about to lay out the economic stuff because you did send me a link for it. So go ahead.
Yeah. So in the last 2 weeks we've had two things drop. We had the Q2 economic data breakdown by race, gender, and age, and then we've also had today the jobs report came out. So I mean, this is the official government data of Q2 earnings by salary. I mean, Bernard, you can pull it up, but I mean, it says this is what men and women are making and at what age. And they break it down by 16 and over. They break it down by 16 to 24, 25 and older, 25 to 54. So the thing we want to look at is 25 to 54 because that's the actual age of family formation, household income, family formation, household formation, and wealth generation. That's where it's going to happen at. I mean, people who are 22 years old are not accumulating wealth, and people who are 60 years old are not accumulating wealth. Whatever they have is whatever they got at that point when it comes down to it.
Yeah, Chris should be emailing these numbers too. To
Yeah,
be
he
fair,
do.
so my bad. He be distributed it. So my bad. Maybe I didn't
Yeah.
open that one.
All right. So wait, hold on, wait. I got it right here. So you said Black or African American, let's see, 25 years and over. I think that's median weekly earnings 900
Scroll down.
I just saw, yeah, 25 and under, like 900, yeah, well 995 between 25 and 54, basically a thousand a week for the economically viable white men who will qualify for Amiri's daughter is I think $1,200 a week. So yeah, that's $200 a week difference, from economically viable to not economically
and by
viable.
the way, that first number was 51. It's 51K if you divide it times 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. So that's most recent government data from Q2. So that's what it is. So when you guys are all these different panels, that's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Pull it up when they start talking about who makes more money, who doesn't. You see they don't break out Asian people, but look at the Asian people labor force participation rate. Do they have it on this one? They don't have it on this.
This chart doesn't show.
I mean, we the only motherfuckers that really. Let's be clear here. We're the only folks that really, really, really care about these stats. A lot of motherfuckers just be getting the headlines and they want to argue against what we do. But notice they got to argue against what we do because we're the ones putting them out there in the first place. See, the argument was that. Remember, this nigga was trying to say 80% of black men got kids. Hey, these will be the same black men that talk about, oh, you nigga, you an incel. So how is it all these incels exist, but all these niggas are fucking anyway, I'm done.
So basically we have to make sure that people are framing this correctly, that this is who is making the money, and this is the age at which they're making it. And so now the question becomes of if they're making this money and we're saying they're economically viable, and Ed, I get your point of, are they in jurisdictions where this money goes as far as it should? Well, let's be honest. Like 75 or 80% of black people live in like the top 30 metro areas. We're all packed in the same areas. So the only ones that are true outliers are going to be New York, San Francisco, LA, maybe Austin, but we're not even in Austin like that. So really, and then you have DC and in Chicago, which they're not as bad, but they're like a 0.1, they're like a 20% multiplier. So it's like not even that skewed when we get down to it, is what I'm saying.
All right. GC, you had kept trying to jump back in, and then we're going to go to Dre down at the bottom. Thank you for your patience, Dre. I'm going to go to you in a second. But go ahead, Game Changer.
Well, I mean, I wish the conversation wasn't really made about statistics. I think that he was overly leaning on it, and we were forgetting the point of why the statistic was brought up in the first place. And I think that that's where the focus should have been. The focus should have been do too many black women have breed irresponsibly? I think that we should have simply phrased the question that way without leaving it open up to, critique of the statistics. And I mean, because really the percentage of black men that have children really doesn't even relate. It's not a relatable statistic when we're talking about if black women are breeding responsibly. Because for one, we don't know if these black women who are breeding responsibly are doing so with the black men, nor do we know if the black men who are breeding responsibly or otherwise are doing so with black women. So there really isn't a connection, and it was a very long rabbit hole, which he used to almost get himself off of the fence, but he definitely used it to run the clock out, like in an NBA game. So I mean, the better focus would have been and should have been, and I think that that's what was initially touched on, is do far too many black women breed irresponsibly. I would right quick, Edward, and I would have loved to hear his response to that question. But
what I regret asking him, to your point, Game Changer, is who controls sexual access in the black community, black men or black women? Because the way he talks, he would say the way he talks is as if black men control sexual access. Because that's why he was making all these arguments about the widespread of how many dudes got kids and all of that. So he's saying, because the way he makes it sound like it's not that they're breeding irresponsibly. Black women are just getting fucked. The way he make it sound like without their permission, and the baby stork is just popping these babies out on them, and they just gotta do the strong queen thing and take care of it. When this nigga just did Johnny Appleseed, that's the way he frames it. The way you really break it down. So I wish I would have asked that direct. But you know how Amiri is. He plants vortexes and trap doors, and if you're not careful, even if you don't fall into one, you'll trip over one every once in a while.
So anyway. Sexy Red asks, WTF is sexual access? Google birds and bees, and that will give you an explanation or an answer.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to all right, real quick, Kristen, because I do want to go to Dre down at the bottom.
Yeah, and I know he got away before I could. He got away before I could really get to him. But one of the things he said, he had a real estate company, couldn't employ him. So I imagine I don't know how many houses he has or whatever he does. But this is how I knew he was sidestepping the issue. I don't have direct employees, but for instance, example of ways that
contractors.
You have the contractors, and then like for instance, my little brother started a landscaping company. Well, me and my dad, we gave him all the contracts on all the properties we owned, so that way he could build up his clientele. Same thing I put on my boy who went to HVAC school. I had him do all the initial HVAC jobs, and he did them. And yeah, he messed up a couple, and he had to redo it a couple, but he got good at it. And so then I referred him out, and now he makes like $8,000 to $10,000 a month doing HVAC with his own truck. See, that's the type of stuff. When he says he didn't have his license, he could do his own. He could place tenants. He doesn't need a license to place a tenant. He could. There's all sorts of things. If he has a real estate company, if he's like rehabbing houses or doing it or renting them out, that he could do, which I was going to call up to the bat for if he said, no, my son-in-law can't do, which that's what made me come up, because like I knew there was some cap in there.
He got scared of the Asian. Your Asian wife scared him, man. He knew you weren't fucking around, because Asian women don't get with ain't shit, not marrying them. So he's like, oh, this dude must be really doing something. Let me.
No.
Well, sir, do you have kids with her?
Anyway,
do you and your wife have kids?
Yeah, we have 2 kids. Yeah, we have 2 kids.
Oh yeah, you can hear them in the background.
So to further my point, and this is why the statistics he thrown out was useless, and far too much time was spent on it, in my opinion. But the statistics was useless because he falls into the category of a man having a child, but it doesn't really matter as far as the irresponsible breeding of black women goes, because he didn't breed with a black woman.
Good point.
It's important to realize, like the stat. How that shows the stats that show, and I'm going to drop the link to the video that proves it at the end of the show. I'm actually going to put it in the description. The stats that we talk about that show that the majority of black men don't have kids, like that's worth pointing out in a certain context. I think sometimes the Game Changer is right. Sometimes we use those stats in the context where it's not really as important. So good points on that one, GC. But go ahead, Dre. Thanks for your patience. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Thanks, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
All right, good. You can tell from my accent, I'm not calling from America. I'm actually in England, so from the UK. Yeah, I mean, I've been listening in curiously to some of the points that were being raised, and I think the gentleman with the chessboard, the chess picture, made a good point that you guys kind of got lost in the rabbit hole where you were debating stats. But I just wanted to put it back to the main question, in that why do we think black women don't want to subscribe to male leadership? And the real question is, do we think black men in the current modern day and age are worth following as leaders? I mean, that's a question, first of all, we must ask ourselves. I'm 43 years old. I'm a civil engineer, never been married, but I do, I am seeing somebody seriously. And as I've got older, the notion of marriage has become less of an attractive prospect for me. But whilst you guys were, debating the nuances of statistics, I think it's important to realize that the age that most people typically get married is between 25 and 40. And that's the age range you need to look at. And financially, black women are outperforming black men in America.
That's not true.
We just showed you data. We just literally showed you government data that shows that's not true.
Well, you're looking at the whole data, but you didn't.
I said 25 to 54.
Well, no, hold on, Christian. Quick question, Dre. I want to get specific on, because that's broad. Like, what do you think they're outperforming black men on?
He said financially.
Economically, it's not even up for debate. If you look in blackdemographics.com, the age group between 25, and I've got it here, between 25 and 40, there's about 7.6 million black women and black men.
The only thing that black women do better than black men on is...
Wait a minute.
Let him finish.
Could you let him finish? Go ahead.
If you look at the age group between 25 and 40, as I said, all races, women typically get married around 28, men 31. If you extrapolate that to black people, we fall around the same age range of first marriage, right? So this is from Bernard Riley. I mean, I'm not sure where he got his stats from.
Well, I'm talking about the economic part. You're talking about...
Hold on, wait, okay, all right, brother, Dre, you said that they are financially or economically outperforming black men. I don't think it sounds like you're not even headed down the path of explaining that. The simple data that I got right here, if you're looking at between the age of 25 to 54, the average black man is making essentially $1,000 a week, $995. Black women making $871. Like they literally financially make less money than black men. So I want you to substantiate how. I want you to substantiate how and in which way are they economically doing better.
So I am looking at the age range between 25 and 40. You're looking at between 25 and 54 years. So that's extra 14 years on top of what I am looking at. Now, what I'm saying is that people typically get married between the ages.
No, give us the economic numbers before you get to the.
Because I agree with you
getting
on the
married.
Thing.
Hold on. I want you to substantiate the claim. I mean, I understand listen. I understand that a lot of people are of the view because a lot of they throw a lot of black girl magic parades. Yeah. And a lot of people are of the view that black women are somehow out earning black men. They're more educated than black men, but every group of women is more educated than their men. But every group of men make more money than their women, and black men and black women fall within that same category. So if you're going to say that black women are financially doing better, you got to substantiate that first, or not substantiate it, and then we can talk about the marriage stuff.
Okay, I will substantiate that. As I said, my data cannot align with yours because you're looking at a broader age range. The age range I've got on blackdemographics.com.
Could you share it?
Out of 7.7 million black men and women between the ages of 25 and 40, black women between 20K to 50K, black women earn more than black men. 1.6 million black women earn between 20 and 50K. Black men earn around 1.3 million black men earn within that salary range.
It sounds like wait, hold on. It sounds like you're looking at just do you know how to do a screen share?
I'm a fine.
Wait a minute. Stop, please. Everybody stop. Brother, do you know how to do a screen share?
Yeah, I know how to do a screen share.
I believe that the data that you're looking at is the data that where they're talking about single Gen Xers, or it's one on single millennials and single Gen Xers. Of course. Yeah. Then right there you're wrong out the gate, and here's why. When you're talking about data, stats, economic data, and married men are not included. Men tend to get married when they're making more money. So that's data where the best of the men are shaved off, and single women who making more money, a lot of them are less likely to get married because they don't have to, because they strong, independent, and don't need a man. So you're talking about data that's going to probably show the best of black women economically and the worst of black men economically. So yes, it's going to be a discrepancy.
Bernard,
if you're talking about single people.
I'm looking at single black men and women. Forget about marriage. We're looking at single black men.
But that's what he's explaining to you. That's what he's explaining. Well, that's what he just did. And another thing I need to throw in here real quick. In America, are you aware of the income wage gap that women across race, white women in particular, but all women bitch about? in the United States
We're doing it again.
Have,
I think we're getting off course. Even if Bernard, even if we go with your data,
Can I go, please?
Bernard.
Can I go? I mean, seriously, sir. You mentioned the statistic. Let's take it for face value for a second, so we don't go into another statistical rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You are an engineer, and I'm assuming that you were an engineer before 40, correct?
Yeah, I've been an engineer for 17 years. I'm a chartered engineer.
In that time, did you want to marry a black woman?
Yes.
In that time, did a black woman want to marry you?
Yes.
Why didn't you two marry?
Well, I think one thing you got to understand is my decision not to get married is a personal one. It was based on family circumstances and also my own financial circumstances.
But you said that you made, okay, I'm assuming that as an engineer, you did make more than the average black woman, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So again, with that, why did you feel that you were not financially viable to marry this black woman?
I mean, my anecdotal experience of why I didn't get married, I came close to getting married. It was because of the women, etc.
But since we're talking about statistics, we're putting you in a particular category, sir. As a man who was economically viable, why did you not marry a black woman?
Well, that's what I'm saying. My anecdotal experience is irrelevant.
I know it's very relevant. Well, it's very relevant because you are presenting the situation. So once again, why didn't you, as a black man who wanted to marry a black woman, didn't marry a black woman when you had the opportunity?
I didn't marry because the person who I was with, I chose not to get married to for various reasons.
Why did you choose not to get married to her?
Hold on. I think what Game Changer is getting at, is it something that you found wrong with the women or with the woman? I think that means more, and that carries more weight in the discussion than I think the gaslighting argument about black male economics.
No, listen, guys.
So basically, my point is, and that you helped me prove, Dre, is that even when a black man is economically sound, black women still have an absence of marriageability.
I don't disagree with you.
And you've proven that. Well, that's good. We can agree to agree. So please don't interrupt. Yeah. So now that we can agree to agree, we can say that economics is not necessarily a factor. And that even in your life experience, that financial eligibility, absent viable feminine women means nothing, because marriage and children were not produced in your situation nor mine, both of whom are engineers. So thank you for that statistic, but it really doesn't mean anything if there isn't enough available women or marriageable women.
Yeah, but with all due respect, I think you're mixing a number of factors. When I started listening to the stream, and there was a gentleman who was on who explained what makes leadership, and he talks about finances, understanding female nature, having integrity, etc. So the finance argument is one component of a black man's ability to lead a woman. Right?
Do you have the ability to lead a woman? Excuse me. Do you have the ability to lead a woman?
This is what I'm saying. You're trying to make this an ad hominem argument.
No, I'm using a personal example, sir.
Yeah, you don't need to focus on me. I think let's focus.
No. I understand. Do you have the ability to lead a woman?
That's my.
Okay, let's put it like this.
The problem
there exists black men who are financially capable and capable in many ways of leading a woman. However, these black men find themselves as single as you are. And the reason
I'm not single, but I'm not married, but I do have a woman.
Are you married?
I'm not married.
They find themselves as single as you are. Okay. Now, that being the case, it's not a matter of black men's eligibility if eligible black men find themselves single. It is a matter of black female eligibility.
Yeah, I think what you're getting me wrong is that I do think there are some defects with black women, which we can discuss. I'm not saying they're perfect human beings.
What I'm saying, sir, and you and me prove this, is that if a man is a qualified leader, it doesn't necessarily mean that the women are qualified for him. So you're saying that once black men fix their economic situation, that black women will simply become collectively responsible. However, sir, that didn't work for you, and it didn't work for me.
I think this is where we differ, because you're using the economic argument and extrapolating it. I'm saying most women will not date a guy who earns less than them. That's number one. Women at face value want their man to be earning more than them.
Okay, so
can I jump in? Fellas, Christian, if I may, they didn't date you either. So
I just didn't marry them.
Okay, they didn't date you either.
I think you're getting it wrong. I mean,
your point has been made.
Edward,
because what it makes it sound like is we're scared of the argument.
Edward, please. What I'm saying is that the economic thing is an excuse. Yes. Is what I'm saying. You know, I'm saying that even if they have ideal economic situations, they still do not respond the way that you predict that they should. They're using that as an excuse. Not only that, sir, they are dating and marrying men that make significantly less than you. And they are dating and marrying men that who possibly are not as qualified as leader as you feel yourself to be. Therefore, I think that though they may state that economics is the driving force of why they behave that they do, the way that they do, it's not. It's a lie. You're spreading that lie. Well, if so, excuse me, Edward, please. You know, if so, it would be you that's married with children, not the men that make significantly less and have poor leadership abilities. Okay.
All right. So I want to get this out. So I'm not going to open up the rabbit hole since Game Changers put in so much work, patching it up, putting concrete on it, and painting it. But I do want to let you know, Dre, if you do want to have a conversation about that part, I'm going to let you get off what you want to get off because you were the one making a point and you did wait. But just understand that the argument that you are making is not a correct one at any age group. The only thing that the women beat us on is being more employed because they get hired more. But when it comes to the money part, we make more than them as a group and we make more than them individually. That's always been true, which is why black women are always talking about there's some fucking black male privilege over here in the first place. That's one of the things that they say. So I hear what you're saying, so I'll let you get that off. But if you want to go in a deep dive into it, we can do that like in another time because clearly other folks don't want to have that conversation. And I'm going to respect that. But and the reason why I wanted to say that too is because the reason why we got in the first rabbit hole is because you have a lot of dudes that they hear motherfuckers say shit for the sake of, I ain't even talking about Dre. I'm talking about just for the sake of wanting to equalize the argument, and dudes be really believing that. Most black men, a lot of black men, too many black men actually do believe there are of multiple age groups that our women make more fucking money than us because they have been told that women can't, they always got to date down, they can't find someone in their level. So I get what you're doing, Game Changer, but understand the perception is going to be we're scared to have the argument, which is why we're just shutting that shit down before you can even say it. So I'll leave it at that, but that's why we wanted to knock this shit out because I'm tired of people misreading stats. Like you saw what Amiri did, 80% of motherfuckers got kids. Okay.
So Christian Hutchinson, yeah, you got next. Look, y'all, if you're new here, subscribe. If you're new here, subscribe. Appreciate everybody who've been watching this stream. So hit the subscribe button, bang the bell. We do this practically almost every day. So go ahead, Christian, you got it.
So Dre, so I don't know how familiar you are with the way things are set up here in the U.S., but I'm gonna. People might get upset with me when I say this. Why things are set up the way they are. The reason why I believe this is an argument I made back in college and papers I wrote was the reason why the black marriage rate is so low is because of when you compare where black men's where they are on the economic ladder compared to the relative benefits that a woman can receive outside of marriage. Yep. The difference is not high enough for them to value having a man in the home, especially at the age that you're talking about. So just follow me here. If you, Bernard, I just sent you a CNBC article. It's for all men, but we can extrapolate this down. Whatever you have there for the men, just deduct 8% for black men or 5%, and you'll get black men's salary at the same thing, basically give or take. It's a CNBC article. It shows how much men make at certain age. If you can bring that up, I'll illustrate the point.
All right. Okay. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, the benefits are equal to like $70,000 with a kid. DGS did a video specifically on this.
Yeah.
Like
I thought it
72.
was like 50. Well, 50.
No,
Well,
it's like 70 something.
It varies based but the number that's floated around for years, the number that's floated, no, that's not it. Is it here? It's at the bottom of the private chat.
Oh, my bad. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. No, we're gonna get this right. I clicked on the wrong one.
Yeah.
But here it comes right. Give 1 second. It's the NBC one, correct?
Yep. CNBC. Yep. Pull that up.
That's it?
Yep. Scroll down.
Right.
How much do married men make at every age? Okay. So let's scroll down. To it's going to break down where age is at. So this is age 20, right? So a single woman's at 10,000, single man's 13,000, married woman's 14, married man's 27,000. So just deduct 8% off for black men, and that we'll get there. Basically go up to 25. Now we're actually entering into the range of when people actually are having children and when they're going to engage in household formation and marriage. Married men 38,000, married women 28,000, single men 32,000, single women 28,000. This is when the mate and marriage selection actually happens in the United States, as at this range. Why does this $38,000 matter? Because you're talking about people who get out of college with an accounting degree. If they don't go to like a Big Four, like a Deloitte, KPMG, stuff like that, they're getting jobs as an accountant, maybe $45,000. So this is very relative. This is very spot on what's going on. So now go to 30 years old. This is now now you go to 30 years old. This is somebody who's probably been in their career somewhere between 5 and 8 years. Notice how the numbers start accelerating. At this point, okay, this is where you start seeing a gap in people's wages, whether they're single or married or otherwise. But the married men are the men who are typically going to be the top producers for numerous reasons. One thing is, when I got married, I wasn't running around till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, running into the bar, doing all sorts of stuff. I was spending 4 extra hours at work or doing other things. So this is how it starts to play itself out over time. So now what happens is the men's wages are starting to outpace government benefits. Go up to 35. When you get to 35, now you hit the magic number. The number for men, the marriage rate for men in the United States, it's 80% or higher when you hit $70,000. Because at that point, you are now outperforming government benefits. It's gotten bigger in recent years, but historically they say government benefits are worth about $45,000. That's always between 35 and 45,000. That's always been the benchmark. There's inflation, there's other stuff, but that's what we're going to go with historically. At this point, a man is now outperforming government benefits at twice the rate. He is now way more better option than actually being on government benefits. And in the marriage rate, it reflects this across the board, no matter the race. The difference is non-black women recognize that if I get married to a man, his income is probably going to go up over the next 15 or 20 years, and they're going to recognize there's value in that, and they just have to deal with that 5 to 8 year point where that income is way in a climb. For whatever reason, the black community, if the income isn't there now, they look at it as we do not want to get married, and we rather take our chances at something else later.
Well, it's hold on with Christian. I think it's bigger than that, because when I said this on the last show, it's not even about making enough to compete against government benefits, whatever that amount is. If you put it at 45,000, okay, this man makes 46,000. Great, he's making enough now, so she's going to get with him. No. Getting with him means being attached to him, having a more structured life, having to follow certain things and ideas. But with that government benefits or her own job to make her own job while single, making 40,000 or whatever, probably less for black women. Let's put it at 37,000. With that, she also has freedom to do what she want, when she want, how she want to do it, and live by her own terms, and have her own agencies and fuck who she want, and the whole works. So you're competing not just with government benefits, but also her desire to be a free agent in a free country. Like that's also part of it as well. So it's not about just, do you leap the hurdle of what she can make on her own job or what she can make with government benefits. Like, so
No,
it's actually bigger than that.
What
But I don't know. Hold on, Christian. Christian is giving us a masterclass presentation here, so I want to make sure that he wrapped it up. Do you have anything else to?
No, Bernard, you are 100% correct. Yes, if a woman knows she makes $40,000 and she's single without a kid, she has more freedom. Or let's say she makes $50,000 and she has a child, what she gets is she gets a transfer payment from child support, let's say for $400 a month, and then she gets government benefits for another, let's say $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And yes, and she doesn't have to do anything that the man says ask for. Even if he just says, "Hey, can you I can't pick up Junior from school today. Can you do it for me? Because I have to work late." She doesn't have to deal with any of that. She has no responsibility to another adult. Because when you have responsibility to another adult, I mean, you've been married. You have to negotiate with this person all the time. It doesn't become beneficial until you hit this cap. Well, that's why that $70,000 number is such a magic number, because you are now exceeding government benefits by such a high percentage. It's like, you know what? If I got to deal with this guy, I got to deal with it, because this is upgrading what I'm doing on my own. Is going to beat out what I'm going to do if I get a transfer payment via the government. That's what this is about. And this isn't a new thought. We were doing this study back when I studied political science and economics in college. We were doing the same exact number breakdown in economics classes in 2006. This has been a known factor. And in fact, the Monahan report even alluded to this concept. That's why they were shocked about the scissors concept. Look,
we needed you a couple of hours ago when he was really trying to, because that was the first. Nobody mentioned the Monahan report, but he was straight up trying to go after preempt that shit because he thought it was coming. I mean, like I said, and I want y'all to understand.
This data is dated. It's from 2019, but it's still look at the gap.
3 years. It ain't that bad.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years is still
I mean,
relevant.
dated is like 8, 9. You know, black women talk about they the most educated 12 years ago now.
I mean, look at these numbers for married men. That's why when Mr. Dre was saying, "Oh, you know, look at single," it's like, if for you to cut off in any population, regardless race, you cut off the married men, you're automatically cutting off the top 40% of producers. Like it's actually insane when you think about it.
The thing, what I want you, and again, this is not because again, what I'm gonna, I hate that word, grace, but what I'm gonna say is, Dre is like, it'd be like me trying to talk about the UK. And even if I'm very versed in it, it's going to be certain nuances there I'm not going to have because I'm not there. I guess not MTR. What's his name? What's his master teacher is? So I'm going to give understanding of that. But what I'm with him versus you got other people that grew up with us, that know this shit, and they perpetually lie. But the thing about it needs to be understood is every time motherfuckers really go with us, remember, Dre, you said like it's not even like questionable. Like you were so cemented into that shit, and it's like we have had 8-hour. Like I wish Complex was still here. We've had 8-hour debates. I mean, week after week after week after week for years. We got that in BGS and stuff. Angry Man, hell, this is where a lot of Kevin got his shit from. This is not just some shit that we just pulled out our ass for a narrative. We got 3 or 4 PhDs in our situation like right now. So the thing about it is, this is why a lot of us get frustrated or they want to shut that shit down. It's because, again, we know, and we're not promoting narratives. If it was that women were making more money, we wouldn't sit there and not say that. For example, women have more passports than black men by a couple of points. Black women actually travel more than black men by a couple of points. So we're not here to say like if women are doing better, take their money better than black men as far as in their own shit. There's reasons for that, but they do. We're not here to say that black men are not a problem at all and black women are the only problem. But see, the problem with what we're going up against is people that want to say black women are not at fault for anything and black men are all at fault. We're saying we ain't 100% at fault. You know, that's really what we're saying. So, because if we're trying to make it better, we have to be clear about what the issue is. And this is not the first time. Even Courtney did that. Motherfuckers they be so sure about these stats to the point where you believe they ass.
Yeah, blackdemographics.com. That single black millennials and single black Gen Xers. Listen, those I called it soon as I saw it. I said people are going to look at that and they're going to exclude the single part of it, and then run with some content and just say, look, black women are doing better than black men. Because if you shave the married men off the top, then yeah, black women are.
Well,
doing
and that's
better.
on black. That's on fucking black demographics.
Yeah.
Because I like that website, but motherfucker, if you need money from brothers, fucking ask for it. Stop bending your fucking knee to these hoes because they mad giving you hate mail because the stats don't look good. Because that's what that is. When you start when you start creating articles like that, you doing that because you tired. You want them off your ass. What's that do to Shea Moisture? When he tried to make one biracial commercial and that nigga's on his fucking knees because these bitches are mad. Stop.
Well, Edward, I think it is relevant to show what the income levels are of men who are single, but because of that's who's in the marriage pool. Because I'm not in the marriage pool. But again, if you go back to that CNBC article, compare married men, compare single women and single men. I mean, single women and single men in terms of incomes. The differences are not that high either. Across the whole.
No, wait, hold on, Ed. You're right, Kristen. I just don't like the problem is that people just look at it and they just say, oh, black women are doing better than black men economically.
Well, it's not my fault that people are stupid.
I know. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah,
so
but
maybe
you do have to account for
it. Can I ask you something, Christian?
Sure.
Why would you consider? I mean, the stats you show there at the age of 40 and above had single men earning 46K, single women earning 43, and then for married people, it was 80K for men and 50K for women. I mean, when you look at these numbers at face value, you would say, right, married men are a lot more attractive, but we know that once women get married, their desire to work, or once a child comes into the picture, their desire to work as hard as a man diminishes significantly.
Data's disputing that. It's saying right there, married women make more than single women right there.
Okay, I give you that. Married women make more than single men, but also
there's single women and single men.
Okay,
because I'm going to tell you something. So there's something else that happens. My wife, she doesn't work full time, but guess what? She negotiates a higher salary because she doesn't have to carry benefits, so she can get a $20 pay bump at her job because she doesn't need benefits because I have benefits. See, that's the type of stuff that goes on. That unless you're here in the United States, you wouldn't know. And that's something that when single people talk about this different things of how married people operate, it tells you how naive they are. Especially when you get into upper incomes of how people actually operate, they tell on themselves. So again, we have it plain state right here. A married man makes $80,000, a married woman makes $50,000, and you literally just said that single women make more. Like you
I never said single. I'm saying that why do you think the gap is greater between married men and married women than single men and single women? So it's 3K between single men and single women. But 30K between married people.
Because of women, because in the United States, they did a study during the last census. They found out that women believe that men are their economic equals until they make 30% more than them. That's in that alarmed demographers in the government across, because they said that's not sustainable, because that means the only way for women to get married is the man has to out earn her by 30%. Really, it's 51%.
I don't disagree with you, Chris. That's an excellent point. Now, I don't disagree. I totally agree with you. So for a man to be economically attractive for a woman to get married to, and that explains it here, you can see the gap between married men and married women is greater than single men and single women. So when we look at this, most single women in that category are not going to find single men attractive.
How many 40-year-old single women are getting married?
I don't know off the top of my head.
No, but see, yet this isn't something that's done this is something that's a glide path. You don't get married at 40 years old and you're making this amount of money. What happens is you can get married between the ages of 23 and 35, and the money builds up to that point. So yes, if you're 38 years old, you're not going to find the numbers are not in your favor.
Hold on, wait, time out. I think what Christian is getting at is you can't see the numbers for say 27. I think that's the average age that women in this country get married, or maybe it's a little closer to 30. But if we look at 20, if we look at 25, okay, a woman making 28,000, okay. But if she's marrying a
So if
single
he's 10 to
man, if
25,
she's hold on, stop, hold on. If she's marrying a single man that makes 41,000 at 30, then he is making I think 30% more than her. So it
Correct.
does play out. It only becomes a problem if you just say, if you're just completely 100% anti-age gap dating and say that this single woman has to get married to the single woman at 25 has to get married to a single man at 25. Okay, she may not see him as attractive. That may be true. And that, you know, hey, we can't help the fact that yes, that women getting more opportunities and coming into the workforce, in order for them to scratch their hypergamous itch, they have to get with a man making comfortably higher than what the average man makes in a country. Whereas before that was fine when women didn't make as much, but then now when women make close to what men make, now men have to, you know, damn near scrape six figures in order to be attractive, then that just shows that we've built a system, a structure in the country that really truly goes against natural raw human nature. So I mean, it's almost like you end up going down a weird rabbit hole where you're basically saying, okay, well, men need to make more to be more economically attractive to the women. But if they start making that much more, and then that whole little thing that they like to bitch about called the wage gap gets higher. So we got to increase the wages of women. So yeah, we do what we got to do. We make more incentives, more programs. We increase the wages of women, and then we make men and women incomes closer to each other again. And then guess what? Now these men just became economically unattractive again. So now what do they need to do? Women say jump, men say how high. Okay, we go make even more money, and then God damn it, we create the wage gap again. So we just run into a problem. But it just turns into a situation where the system of women being competitive out there in the workforce, it's a system that's going to crumble and fall on itself. It's going to result in them essentially being perpetually chronically single, raising kids by themselves and ruining the kids. And so that it's just that's the situation. That's what we're looking at. And that's really what we're speaking against. Even if we never change it, bare minimum, we're pulling the mask off the Scooby-Doo villain and showing what the problem actually is and where it comes from and how it works. But just saying, these men are not attractive to women. Okay, a man who works, and let's just go back to, even if we look right here. Okay, this is this single man right here. This is a working man. You know, in most, I understand in LA and New York that 41K may not be enough, but we've ran the numbers in most rural areas, 41,000. You can get by and pay bills on it. This is a man with a roof over his head, running water, electricity, roof over his head, and food in his refrigerator. That was a viable, marriageable man. But all of a sudden, you change things, and now this single woman who makes just $5,000 less than him, now all of a sudden he's not a viable man. I mean, it's like it's a problem that's going to keep happening if women are in the labor force. So it just is what it is. Those are the negative effects of feminism. There's no solutions. There's only trade-off. That women nature will kick in, and they won't see men who in a previous generation would be viable, worthy men. They will see these men now as unattractive.
So, and I'm not advocating for women not to be in the workforce. I'm not advocating that. Again, if you're talking about, look at how these numbers, how they go. If you look at the 20, 25, 30, these numbers are relatively reasonable. You're like, okay, I can see someone partners. You go up to 35 or 40, go up to 40 years old. Go up to 40 years old real quick, Bernard. Scroll down. I don't know if you're there yet.
That's
okay.
40.
All right. So just think about this. A 40-year-old man is only making $46,000. Okay. A woman is making $43,000. There's nothing this man, if you're 40 years old making $40,000, $46,000, there's nothing you're going to do in the short term, meaning in the next 2 to 3 years, that's going to change your economic situation because you're locked in. Something major is going to have to change. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to get a new skill. I mean, this you have to understand that you just don't go from making $35,000 up to $80,000 in 1 year. Like, yes, you hear people do it, but typically people build themselves up to, that's going to take 4 to 5 years to get there. So yes, if a woman is 36 years old and she's looking for men who are in her age group, she's going to marry, the men who are in her age group who are producers are already off the board. It doesn't matter what race they are. Okay. Now there might be more, because there's more white people in the country. Yes, there's more white men who are unattached just because of volume, but it's still, there's the people who are producing are off the table because you're 38 years old and you're only making $38,000 or $42,000 a year. You are underperforming economically because the married men, those are probably the top 40% of men economically. Look at where they're producing at. They're doubling your production. And $80,000 really ain't squat. I mean, I'm not going to get into that, but you know,
yeah, it turned into a situation where the younger women got a chance, but the single women still out on the market at 40. If they're looking for that 80K guy at 40 to come take care of them, it turns into much slimmer pickings. That's just a reality of the situation. But so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it. So if they're out there, you have to think about, if the guy's 38 years old, he's making $42,000 a year. Now you have to talk about, does he have a personality issue? Does he come attached with the kid? Does he have an issue with regulating his emotions? Does he want to be married? Is he emotionally mature? Like, there's all these other factors. Like, we're just talking about if they're economically in the pool. Okay, we're just talking about the guys who are economically in the pool. We haven't even got into the other factors. So yes, does she find him physically attractive? Because I can tell you right now, I make plenty of money, and a lot of women don't find me attractive. They might, so you know, they might find me attractive.
And I met this man in person. He ain't lying. No, just playing.
Hey, but no, I was pulling him though. I was kidding.
Hey, no, you was having a blast out there at the club. You was clubbing. You had it going out there. You was getting it in. But anyway,
so
go ahead.
No, so I'm just trying to illustrate what the point is. And Dre, you know, you say you're an engineer. Even if you're saying, if you want to run with your concept of, you want to just run with the numbers of 40, okay, you know that black men have a lower life expectancy than black women, so you could start shaving off. We're talking about 14 years, though it's a significant amount of data, a significant amount of time for the spread of the income and everything else. You start saying what the fatality rates and all that stuff would be, still wouldn't move the number.
Yeah,
you still wouldn't move the number. You know, when you start talking about the statistical probability, it's not going to move the number for which you say what the spread is.
Yeah, and Chris, you know what?
And real quick, you were only blocked for like 5 days over here. Okay, Sister George, you was temporarily blocked. I'm actually happy to see you. You was my best friend for a little bit. I'm glad to see you back. Not really, but yeah. But anyway.
Who's the Mac the trucker? Who said I bought out the bar? I didn't buy out the bar. I just bought out the first floor. That's a joke. That's a joke.
All right. We getting close to wrapping this thing up. I done went past the 3-hour mark. I think I got to wrap this thing on up and get up out of here. But no, definitely a good discussion. Dre, thanks for coming through. By all means, come back. I don't know if the time zone is weird out there. You gotta be up at an odd time to catch me. But no, I do appreciate you coming on through. And everybody, this is very important here. Something that we was talking about earlier. We was talking about how many black men had kids or whatever. Mike from the show, Mike and Vince Perkins, ran the numbers, did the best job I've ever seen anybody do, analyzing and breaking down exactly how many black men have kids. The link to that is in the description, but I would recommend you click on that right now as you leave here. Don't just X off the video. Just click that link that I'm dropping right there and let that be your exit on the way out the door if you do want to get down to the bottom of exactly how many black men actually have kids. That's Mike right there. Cool brother. Regular on my show, did an excellent video. So I recommend you go and check that one out as you make your way out of here. And so yeah, thank you everybody. This was an excellent show. It was so many super chats that I forgot to get to because the conversation was real intense. I didn't make it to the super chat. Dr. Thunder sent me a text message saying he sent a super chat that was relevant, probably not even relevant to what we're talking about now. I just dug this one up and found it. He says culture is maintained by the women, and the black community is a gynocracy. So much the more our women are culpable, and who are black women selecting? Yeah, that was we was on that a minute ago. But yeah, shout out to everybody who's super chatted, who's participated. Tape and Tan, Xander with a Z, Snazzy Individual, Nitty, Woke Quill, LB Crypto, Cold Black, James Wingate. Damn, you sent 3 of them right back to back. and sent the $20 one. Do appreciate that. He says 54% of black men don't have kids, 60% have 75+ percentage of kids. Black women sharing men and men and one good man. Black men coming to save them. Black women 80% overweight. I'm lost in stats. Thank you for the super chat. You was James Windate, Code Black, CD, Code Black once again. Oswald, Jaquan, Charles Merchant, Dr. Thunder, JC the Conqueror, CD. Lord Love Smith, Sodomy and Chicken, Mental Agility, Freedman's Journal came through with 2 of them. CA, Sodomy and Chicken again. My man Nick Penn in the building. Theo Waff, Sir Tice, Golden Eagle, Kadash Jaya. Now I'm all the way back to the beginning where I was actually reading them. So shout out to all of y'all, everybody who supported the stream in any way, shape, or form. Nope, I didn't get all these. Weather, Blackfoot, there I said it. Sun is hot. Roll that was from yesterday. All right, so yeah, I think I shouted out everybody who sent a super chat. I'm not going to have a chance to read them all, but I do appreciate each and every one of you supporting the stream today. Shout out to Joe Ethereum for coming through on the Cash App. And I do appreciate you on that. I think he was the only one who sent the Cash App today. And again, like I said, make sure you hit that link to go watch that video from Mike and Vince Perkins where he broke down exactly how many black men have kids, with the percentage of black men that have kids. And with that said, everybody, we are out of here.
Drake,
we gone.